Chapter 2301. Who wants to destroy the Ji clan? By the time everybody realized what was going on, the beasts in dark clothes had already disappeared. That place was the territory of the Ji clan. In every restaurant in their territory, there were traces of the dark fighters. In several places, people were being or had been slaughtered. Quickly, everybody knew about it. Many people in charge of managing the clan reported it to those higher up in the hierarchy. Groups of people kept coming into the main hall of the Ji clan. Someone rushed in, looking alarmed, and bowed hurriedly. "Speak," said Ji Yuan coldly. That person raised their head and said to Ji Yuan, "Ji Fengshi's group has been killed, none remain." Ji Yuan looked glum. Their people were getting slaughtered all around their territory. Some celestial emperors had even been killed. Ji Yuan was extremely worried. "Has anyone assessed the situation?" asked Ji Yuan coldly. The one who had just arrived pulled a long face. "Speak," said the leader of the Ji clan. "It's a group of cruel murderers. They came here to kill our people. They are terrifyingly strong, but we don't know who they are. They are brutal and violent. They're already everywhere in the Ji clan's territory," he answered, lowering his head. Ji Yuan was furious. His chi emerged from his body. "You're saying that a very strong group wants a war against the Ji clan?" said Ji clan. He didn't even dare think about that. The Ji clan had existed in the holy city for such a long time. Someone wanted to start a war against them? Nobody dared imagine the consequences. That person lowered his head. He didn't dare speak. But from what he had witnessed, that was the case. It was impossible to know who those people were. And they hadn't left. Worse, there were more and more of them in the Ji clan's territory. They were everywhere, slaughtering people from the Ji clan. A strong wind started blowing. A silhouette flickered and appeared in the main hall. Ji Yin-sung looked at Ji Yuan. "I've heard something terrible was happening, Uncle." Ji Yuan's looked at him, his mouth wide open. He was nervous and finally said, "Some mysterious group has encircled our clan. Many people have died already." "What did you say?" Ji Yin-sung was astonished. Some people had encircled their clan? "A few celestial emperors have died too," continued Ji Yuan, lowering his head. Explosive chi emerged from Ji Yin-sung's body. "Inform Ancestor Dang Tian, make the gong clang. Call everyone who's outside back. Activate the Great Deployment spell." Ji Yuan's face stiffened. He said, "Uncle, is it that bad?" The gong could be heard in all the small worlds of the Ji clan. It could also wake everybody up, even those who were practicing in isolation. The Great Deployment spell could defend against invaders. "Ji Yuan, those people have encircled the Ji clan, an ancient holy clan. Do you think they're here to play games?" said Ji Yun-kong. It was an unparalleled catastrophe. Ji Yuan's mouth twitched. Ji Yin-sung's way of dealing with the situation was natural. But how many people dared think that they were really in danger? They were an ancient holy clan, and had been in the holy city for such a long time. Who would dare think they could destroy them? "Go now," said Ji Yin-kong. Ji Yuan nodded and left. After a short time, the gong clanged, and everybody heard it in the Ji clan. All the small worlds of the Ji clan trembled. A very old senior official of the Ji clan was in his own small world, practicing cultivation. At that moment, the gong made all the small worlds tremble. He suddenly opened his eyes and golden empty space energies flashed. He suddenly looked stupefied. The alarm gong just clanged? It hasn't clanged for so many years. At the same time, in another small world, an old man with white hair sleeping in the grass suddenly opened his eyes. He had many wrinkles. He was very old, but his chi was terrifying. His eyes looked as sharp as swords. He had lived for a long time, and he hadn't managed to become a saint. Now someone was attacking his clan. Everybody in the Ji clan was panicking. At that moment, the other clans of the holy city didn't know anything, because everything had happened so suddenly. Powerful clans were confident and less vigilant. For example, did the shrines need to think about what would happen in case of sudden attack? No. Therefore, when someone else attacks suddenly and by surprise, it was difficult to react quickly. A few hours later, many people were panicking because there were corpses everywhere, and nobody was picking them up. After people were killed, nobody came to avenge them. It was something unimaginable. The Ji Dang Tian's ancestor, Ji Dang Tian, looked glum. A short time before, A Saint Emperor of the Ji clan had gone on a trip and had been killed. He had sensed bestial qi. Now everybody sensed bestial qi within the Ji clan. The one who had killed the Saint Emperor, and those who were slaughtering their people on their territory, were probably from the same group. But the Ji clan didn't understand who their enemies were, was under great pressure. Finally, qi enveloped the whole clan. Everybody sensed a terrifying bestial qi and death strength. They had the impression they were all going to die. Who dares offend the Ji clan? Shouted Ji Dangtian, extremely loudly. Everybody heard him within the territory of the Ji clan. They didn't even know who their enemy was. A silhouette rose up in the air after a short time, accompanied by faint rumbles of thunder. That person's face was pitch black. He looked expressionless while slaughtering people from the Ji clan, with explosive bursts of power. It was an incredible thing to see. The buildings of the Ji clan were turning to ashes one after another. Someone was trying to wipe the Ji clan off the map of the holy city. At the same time, strong cultivators had sealed the whole territory. Nobody could enter or leave. The strong cultivators of the Ji clan saw that, of course, and their hearts were pounding. How terrifying. Something horrible was happening in the Ji clan. The enemies wanted to destroy them. Oh my! What is going on? Murmured a celestial emperor. He released his godly awareness and inspected the region. He couldn't believe his eyes. All the members of the Ji clan were trembling. Had the Ji clan offended some terrifying cultivators? Why did these people want to destroy them? Ji Dangtian ordered some strong cultivators to protect the inner palaces. He glanced around and looked at the faces of the members of the Ji clan, feeling extremely sad. His poor kin. They might be destroyed for real. Their enemies were extremely fast. They had already destroyed everything across huge distances. Now they were moving towards the depths of the clan. Finally Ji Dangtian saw them. He rose up into the air and asked, "Who wants to destroy our clan? Can we at least know that before fighting?" "Continue killing them," ordered another voice coldly. Their enemies started entering the castles. Ji Dangtian gazed into the distance and saw someone in black clothes. He couldn't see his face. "Activate the Great Deployment spell," said Ji Dangtian coldly. Dazzling lights filled the air. The inner city of the Ji clan was shining brightly. Destructive strength rolled forth. Ji Dangtian shouted, "Let's kill them." The battle suddenly became explosive. It was a great war. As it started, the other clans of the holy city finally started hearing about it. A mysterious group had started a war against the Ji clan. They wanted to destroy the Ji clan. Many people from different ancient holy clans gathered together. Among them, some people who had tried to kill Lin Feng back in the days were present. Yuan Taishan, Ing Zichu, and Pei Chongyang. "Do you know who the intruders are?" asked Ing Zichu. "We don't. The territory has been sealed. A great battle is taking place in the inner part of the Ji clan. The atmosphere is sealed so we can't hear anything. But a terrifying group wants to destroy the Ji clan," reported Pei Chongyang, looking grave and stern. If the invaders could pose a threat to the Ji clan, they could pose a threat to their ancient holy clans as well. Who wanted to destroy the Ji clan? And did they intend to destroy the Ji clan only? Or were other people in danger? Chapter 2302. The Ji clan's destruction. The battle in the Ji clan was explosive. The weakest people on the battlefield were high-level emperors. The Ji clan had sent any people weaker than that to the small worlds. They would have died instantly otherwise. Their mysterious enemies were divided into two groups. One of the armies looked like a group of gods from hell. Their death strength was incredible. Their death cosmic energies killed many people instantly. The strong cultivators of the Ji clan didn't even have time to fight against them, because each time they got close, the death strength killed them instantly. Lin Feng knew what it felt like to face such an army, because he had experienced it in the celestial country on the battlefield. The other army was an army of beasts. Bestial qi dashed to the skies around them. They didn't use spells or techniques. They just crushed their enemies with pure strength. Both armies were complementary. The Ji clan had existed for a very long time, and was strong. That went without saying. Their great deployment spell was destructive, and they also controlled destructive Tao. Within the great deployment spell, their strength was intensified. But even with the help of the deployment spell, at the same cultivation level, the members of the Ji clan realized that their efforts were still in vain. The great deployment spell didn't gain them the advantage. It made them realize that even ancient holy clans were not invincible. Everybody in the holy city considered the Ji clan extremely strong, but when facing such an army, they felt extremely weak. The army of gods of hell was composed of geniuses Lin Feng had captured in the celestial country, then turned into demon puppets. They were the most talented geniuses of the celestial country. After capturing them, Lin Feng had made them study all sorts of ancient scriptures, including the celestial evolution holy scriptures. Lin Feng hadn't spared any efforts. Since great emperors couldn't go to the celestial country anymore, Lin Feng had made his demon puppets practice in the continent of the 9 clouds. Regarding the bestial army, it was composed of heroic beasts of the king of the 10,000 beasts world. They were terrifyingly strong. Of course, Lin Feng hadn't brought the best of the best, such as saint emperors. He made them go to the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, because his clone had already heard that the fire shrine wanted Qing Feng to get married to one of their members. He had also informed the fortune shrine that those people were coming, and that they had to get prepared. The people he had taken to the holy city were enough to do what he wanted there. Great emperors kept dying, even some great emperors in Lin Feng's army. However, he looked unmoved. He wanted the strongest heroes, and those who survived were the strongest ones. He needed to have heroes on his side, so that he'd be able to deal with the shrines someday. Someone prevented Ji Dangtian from attacking Lin Feng. The strong cultivators on Ji Dangtian's side were also under control. However, Ji Dangtian was staring at Lin Feng, who he believed was the leader of the invading troops. At that moment, Lin Feng finally moved. He turned into a beam of light, and death intent filled the air around him. People exploded one after another. Great emperors, celestial emperors, all were surrounded by death strength, and then they turned into corpses and fell from the sky. As they fell, other intruders crushed their bodies to mush. That's perfect Dao strength? Ji Dangtian's face turned deathly pale. The mysterious cultivator in black clothes had finally attacked, and killed so many people at once. "Ancestor, kill him!" shouted Ji Dangtian furiously. In the distance, an old man with white hair and many wrinkles came out of a castle. When he looked at Lin Feng had the impression he was carrying the whole world on his shoulders. Perfect destructive Dao. Lin Feng frowned. That person's Dao had reached the maximum level. "Die," said Lin Feng. His eyes were filled with death intent. He stared at the old man. Death intent started corroding the old man's life instantly. He was very old, already at the end of his life. Death had already started corroding his body. "Those who kill the members of the Ji clan should die," said the old man. After that, explosion sounds spread in the air. Beasts exploded one after another. His attack was terrifying. That's the trump card of the Ji clan? An old man who's about to die, thought Lin Feng with a frown. He and a puppet threw themselves at the old man. "Piss off!" shouted the white-haired old man. He punched out in the puppet's direction. There was an explosion, and the puppet was smashed away. However, it didn't explode, and it wasn't injured either. The old man was astonished. But at that moment, Lin Feng landed in front of him, and a perfect death Dao shot towards him, while a sword also appeared in front of him. The old man was startled. Even though he was terrifyingly strong and controlled Dao at the highest level, he had failed to become a saint. He was too old. He couldn't endure much strength anymore. When he saw Lin Feng's death Dao and deadly sword, he felt desperate and couldn't dodge. The old man shouted out and moved. However, Lin Feng's ruler's sword crashed onto his body and destroyed it thoroughly. However, his soul abandoned his body, and he escaped. "I don't know how the Ji clan offended such a strong cultivator as you, but I, Ji Yaoshan, will not let you destroy the Ji clan that easily. Even if you're talented, today, you'll have to die," said the blurry soul. Dao power filled the air. It was aimed at anyone who wasn't a member of the Ji clan. It was an incredible thing to see. "Ancestor." Ji Dangtian looked at the old man, and shuddered with fear and despair. Who was this enemy? The old man had decided to sacrifice himself to kill their enemies. The soul darted towards Lin Feng. The earth and the sky were trembling as Lin Feng sensed a terrifying soul strength surround him. Lin Feng raised his head and saw a gigantic and terrifying silhouette. The old man wanted to use his most powerful attack against him. It felt like the earth and the sky were attacking him. "Die!" shouted the silhouette furiously. Lin Feng sensed his soul tremble. He hadn't underestimated the trump card of the Ji clan. Lin Feng flashed forwards, his chi boiling. He released millions of death stamps. His enemy's soul had fused together with the earth and the sky, but Lin Feng could still attack him. The old man was taking a huge risk to try to kill Lin Feng. 9 words appeared around Lin Feng, and he turned into a demon. He stood his ground steadfastly, doing all he could to resist that terrifying destructive strength. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Feng coughed up blood, but continued attacking. He kept releasing death stamps. The atmosphere around him distorted, and everything around him smelled like death. His enemy was weak, he was too old, and was already approaching death before this battle. Terrifying explosions echoed non-stop. Lin Feng sensed a destructive punch move towards him. He shouted furiously and rose up into the air again. He called out with a sigh, "Rest in peace." The old man heard Lin Feng sigh. That sigh was the result of someone who had lived for a very, very long time. Someone who had experienced all the king of the 10,000 beasts' lives and his own, and the countless ones he had dreamt of. Lin Feng condensed more strength. He used an attack he had created himself after reading the scriptures in the Fortune Shrine. He could see his enemy's consciousness and soul. He wanted to destroy them thoroughly. His enemy's soul became much weaker. Millions of death stamps continued assaulting him. His destructive strength kept weakening. Finally, he sighed and asked, "Tell me who you are. Why do you want to destroy the Ji clan?" He knew that it was too late, that the Ji clan was going to be destroyed no matter what. He also thought of his life, and when he was young. If he hadn't been so old, he would have killed Lin Feng. But now it was too late. He couldn't stop Lin Feng. The Ji clan was doomed. "Who are you?" said Ji Dangtian. He was injured too, and staring at Lin Feng. He looked furious and shouted, "Why do I have the feeling you're from Champion University? I told you someday, if I became strong, I'd destroy the Ji clan. Now, I came back for that reason," said Lin Feng indifferently. The strong cultivators of the Ji clan were staring at him, the man in black clothes. Lin Feng raised his head and took off his costume. He threw it away and showed his real face. How is this possible? Ji Dangtian didn't believe his eyes. He feared that Lin Feng would become strong in the future, but he hadn't thought it would be in such a short time. How was this possible? Lin Feng. The strong cultivators of the Ji clan were all astonished and staring at him. Lin Feng, a moment before, had fought against the ancestor of their clan. "It's me, Lin Feng. Back then, the Ji clan harassed me and tried to kill me. Today, I'm here to destroy the Ji clan," stated Lin Feng pitilessly. Chapter 2303. Opening a sect today. "I'm here to destroy the Ji clan," said Lin Feng coldly. Ji Dangtian was trembling. Things had happened so fast. Lin Feng's allies all showed their real faces. Ji Dangtian was astonished and said, "As expected, people from Champion University. Ancestor Shirtian. Back then, you encircled Champion University. You wanted to kill our disciple. Ji Dangtian, do you remember that?" said Ancestor Shirtian coldly. Ji Dangtian was astonished. Champion University had come back to get their revenge and helped Lin Feng settle accounts with them. Champion University hadn't forgotten how humiliating that was. "So the Ji clan was the first one," said Ji Dangtian. He said, "You sealed the whole territory because you didn't want the 3 other ancient holy clans to join hands to fight against you. If some saint emperors show up though, Champion University is going to be in trouble." Ji Dangtian shouted furiously, "Go and kill." He suddenly rose up in the air, but at that moment, the puppet reappeared and punched him. The earth and the sky trembled. Ancestor Shirtian grunted coldly. He rose up into the air as well. Lin Feng released death stamps in an endless tide. His death Dao also filled the air. Everything became black as death around them. The wind howled furiously around Lin Feng. The Ji clan's ancestor's soul condensed into a silhouette again, and headed towards Lin Feng. He was struggling not to die. "You're already about to die, why are you still here?" said Lin Feng coldly. A terrifying absorbing strength appeared. A dragon started chanting. The absorbing strength filled the air. The soul strength turned into a beam of light and penetrated into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng coughed up some blood, but remained calm. He absorbed the old man's soul thoroughly. The strong cultivators of the Ji clan looked desperate. Lin Feng's death Dao reached across the sky. The strong cultivators of the Ji clan looked devastated, collapsing one after another. Back then, they had sent some great emperors to kill Lin Feng, and now he was killing them all. Nobody had thought such a thing would happen back then. The Ji clan was wiped off the map of the holy city by a mysterious group of strong cultivators. In less than one day, ashes from bodies and burning buildings flew in the wind above the holy city. Many people were standing on the former territory of the Ji clan, but there was nothing left. No more lofty buildings, no more magnificent palaces, no more life. An ancient holy clan had been destroyed between one day and the next. "I can't believe it's true," said someone standing above the ruins. He downed a bottle of alcohol and burped. Who could have destroyed an ancient holy clan? Many people were shaking. In only one day, the Ji clan had been destroyed. Everybody already knew about it in the holy city. Many people couldn't believe it their eyes though. Many people who lived far away even learned about that, and came to check. Something incredible had happened in the holy city. Many people from all sorts of ancient holy clans came to see the ruins. How scary, many wondered aloud. What could we do if that mysterious group of people attacked us? Would we end up like the Ji clan? Many people felt an unseen pressure now. A few ancestors gathered together in the celestial mountains. 6 people were playing chess. "The Ji clan has been destroyed," said an ancestor, putting down his piece. He sounded calm, but his voice also trembled a little. Shirtian and Xiantian helped. "I've heard that Lin Feng killed an ancestor of the Ji clan," said another ancestor. He was still shocked. First at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds. And in less than 20 years, he can kill saint emperors. Had any of you ever thought such a terrifying cultivator would study at Champion University someday? Shirtian said they will probably attack the 3 other ancient holy clans. "I think they want to do it faster this time, so they will just destroy all the obstacles," said another ancestor. Everybody was dumbstruck. At that moment, someone threw a piece away, stood up, turned around and stated, "I'm going to see Shirtian." The others were startled. One of them stood up and said, "They must need people. Champion University can do things big this time." He also left. Very quickly, only 2 ancestors were left, Ancestor Zhu Tian and Ancestor Dong Tian. They were good friends. Zhu Tian, back in the day, you supported Ji Chong, and you didn't like Lin Feng that much, said Ancestor Dong Tian. Ancestor Zhu Tian's face stiffened. It was true. He just remained silent though. Yesterday, I learned from Xian Tian, after persisting, that they intend to do something for Lin Feng after the whole situation calms down, said Ancestor Dong Tian. Therefore, old buddy, think carefully. You missed an opportunity, because you lack a sense of judgment. Now it's an opportunity for Xian Tian, and his friend, Lin Feng, is an opportunity. Ancestor Dong Tian sighed and stood up. He gazed into the distance and said, admitting we were wrong is nothing shameless. After that, he disappeared and left Ancestor Zhu Tian alone, to just blankly look at the chessboard. The Ji clan had been destroyed for a few days already. Many ancient holy clans were getting ready to be attacked. They also dispatched people to investigate that group of terrifying cultivators. However, that terrifying group was dangerous and cruel. Each time they noticed someone was investigating them, they killed them mercilessly. The ancient holy clans couldn't even avenge those they lost. It was night, and many strong cultivators from Champion University entered the Yuan clan, including some ancestors. The Yuan clan had already prepared. They wiped out everything on their way. Very quickly, the Yuan clan, who had joined hands with the Ji clan in the past, was almost completely destroyed. Yuan Taishan roared furiously and glanced around at the strong cultivators who were encircling him. Why? Who are you? Asked Yuan Taishan, all covered with blood. He kept shaking and shouting. The people in front of him looked mysterious. Their faces were covered. When he saw some people behind them, he suddenly laughed frantically. Oh my, that's the will of heaven then. I never thought such a thing would happen. It's the will of heaven. Come. A mighty chi swept out and overwhelmed him. Very quickly, Yuan Taishan's body disappeared. After destroying the Yuan clan, some people cleaned up the mess, and the others went straight to the Ying clan. Like the wind sweeps away leaves on the ground, those cultivators swept away the ancient Holy Clan's members. 3 days later, some news spread in the Holy City about the ancient Holy Clans. The ancient Holy Clans were still worried. The Ji clan had been destroyed, then some other ancient Holy Clans had followed them. Such a thing had never happened in the Holy City. Many people were starting to think that those mysterious people were backed up by Champion University, because the ancient clans which had been destroyed were the Ji clan, the Pei clan, the Ying clan, and the Yuan clan. Those 4 ancient clans many years before had sent some saint emperors and had them encircle Champion University. Such a thing had been humiliating for Champion University. However, a spectacular palace had appeared in the Holy City, and many people gasped with amazement when they saw it. 4 ancient holy clans had been destroyed, and now, suddenly, a new group had appeared out of nowhere. People were astonished. After a few days, the news that it was Tiantai's new headquarters spread through the city. Tiantai had established itself in the Holy City. They used to be a small group in Champion University, and now they were a real sect. Chapter 2304. 9 Cauldrons for the Champion. Tiantai was now a genuine sect in the city. The news astonished everybody in the Holy City. 4 incredible ancient holy clans had been destroyed by a mysterious group, and now Tiantai was rising in the Holy City. Many people were wondering whether there was a connection between those two things. Cultivators really had the power to make things change if they were strong enough. Even though it was easier for them to destroy than to create, this time, Tiantai and Champion University could do something great. Creating a sect in a short time was no problem at all. These days, Tiantai had thousands of disciples. There were also many young people with diverse backgrounds who wanted to join Tiantai. In only 7 days, incredible buildings stood lofty at the top of mountains. There was a gigantic waterfall, forests, grass. Of course, they needed more buildings. A sect was like a small country. In countries, there were many small worlds, and if Tiantai wanted, they could also create their own small worlds. On that day, Tiantai really started rising. Many people came to congratulate them, and many other people also came to see if anything bad was going to happen or not. Tiantai, a small group which had started in Champion University, now drew everyone's attention in the Holy City. There was a celestial flight of stairs. Emperor Shi and Emperor Yu were standing there, their clothes fluttering in the wind. They both smiled. Back in the day, they had created Tiantai in order to break free from the small world. They had done all they could, and had taken great risks. There were some disciples from Tiantai who they had never found again. They had the feeling life was just a dream. They had gone through so much. They had never thought that someday, Tiantai would become a powerful group in the Holy City, a legendary place to people in the small world. All their disciples were standing under them on the flight of stairs. They all looked extraordinary, brave, outstanding, and experienced, especially those standing just under them from the first batch, the direct disciples. Some people were already great emperors. The air whistled as someone arrived. It was a group of people carrying cauldrons. 8 people carried 1 cauldron. Each cauldron seemed to weigh millions of jin. Those are strong cultivators from Champion University, great emperors. Many people were astonished. Monarchic battle cauldrons. A strong cultivator from Celestial Godly University frowned. His eyes glittered sharply. Indeed, monarchic battle cauldrons. The people from Ancient University were astonished too. Monarchic battle cauldrons are symbols of Champion University. 81 monarchic battle cauldrons have been created. People who receive monarchic battle cauldrons have much higher positions than people who have their statues in Champion University or champions. It's a supreme honor. Even the ancestors of Champion University haven't received monarchic battle cauldrons, murmured someone. Few people knew about the monarchic battle cauldrons, so when they heard that, they all shivered. The monarchic battle cauldrons had an incredible meaning. So why had they taken them out today, the day of Tiantai's inauguration into the holy city? There were 9 monarchic battle cauldrons and great emperors were carrying them. Tiantai appeared in Champion University, but now they are not really part of the university anymore. They are a sect in the holy city. However, there should be a link between them and Champion University. Champion University is giving them monarchic battle cauldrons to tell everyone that Tiantai is important for Champion University. It's almost a part of them, was many people's opinion. Since when was Tiantai so important to Champion University? Champion University congratulates Tiantai, proclaimed a loud voice. Everybody in the holy city heard the words. 72 great emperors were carrying monarchic battle cauldrons, and they all congratulated Tiantai. However, they didn't give the cauldrons as presents. They put them in 9 different locations. Thank you very much, Champion University, replied Mu Chun with a wide smile. He had never thought Champion University would be so kind to them. He was also astonished when he learned how important the cauldrons were. You're too polite. We're all here to congratulate you as expected, said a loud voice from the horizon. A group of strong cultivators arrived. They all looked enigmatic and unfathomable. The ancestors of Champion University. When the crowd saw them, they shivered. It was rare to see such people, especially at the same time. And now they were all here. What was going on? Your 2 kind ancestors, said Mu Chen. He was dumbstruck. He couldn't believe his eyes. He hadn't thought they'd come and congratulate Tiantai personally. The other universities were stunned. Why was Tiantai so important? No need to pay attention to us old people. You can continue. Ancestor Shirtian smiled as he moved aside. Mu Chun and Emperor Yu looked at the crowd, their disciples, and then gazed into the distance. From now on, Tiantai is a sect in the holy city, declared Mu Chun and Emperor Yu loudly. They weren't as strong as their disciples, but they were the founders of the sect. Nobody dared say anything about that. Lin Feng was among the other disciples, but he didn't come out. Even though a long time had passed, and even though the probability that the shrines had people in the lower world was small, he couldn't show himself. He couldn't give the shrines an opportunity to find him. But now everything was perfect. The ancient holy clans who threatened him had been destroyed, and Tiantai had been created in the holy city. Lin Feng was really happy. Lin Feng knew some terrifying cultivators now. The shrines remained vigilant. Lin Feng was convinced that the shrines didn't want to lose their people's lives for nothing. The members of the fire shrine wanted to use Qing Feng to find him, because she had accepted getting married to one of their members to help Lin Feng. Nobody could refute her promise. The 8 ancestors glanced at one another. Ancestor Shirtian stepped forward and said, "Today, we didn't come just to congratulate Tiantai. We also came for Champion University's students, for the ceremony of the Great Champion." Ceremony of the Great Champion? The crowd was astonished. Back then, Lin Feng could have been a champion, but he hadn't, and now they wanted to declare him a champion? Since Lin Feng was first and foremost one of Tiantai's disciples, and he became a student of Champion University afterwards. Now that Tiantai is here, we'll organize the ceremony here. Apart from Lin Feng's statue in Champion University, we'll also have another one made of him for Tiantai. Is that all right? Ancestor Shirtian asked, smiling at Emperor Yu and Mu Chen. Of course it's all right, answered the 2, shaking their heads and smiling. They were extremely happy. Champion University was organizing a champion ceremony for Lin Feng. Good, smiled Ancestor Shirtian. In the distance, some people rose up in the air. A gigantic statue appeared. Many students from Champion University were behind it. Where should we put it? Asked Ancestor Shirtian to Mu Chen. There if possible, said Mu Chen pointing at the center of the main public square. He was a hero to Tiantai, so that place was perfect. Good. Ancestor Shirtian smiled and waved his hand. Champion University's students took the statue to the plaza center and slowly put it down. It was 100 meters high. Lin Feng smiled wryly. He hadn't thought Champion University would do this. Today is the ceremony. There will be no champion crown, only monarchic battle cauldrons. The 9 cauldrons are Lin Feng's crowns, said Ancestor Shirtian. The 72 cultivators put the 9 cauldrons in front of the statue. Lin Feng looked like a peerless and heroic warrior. Champion University officially announces that Lin Feng is the champion, the king of the continent of the 9 clouds, said Ancestor Shirtian loudly. The crowd shivered. He had not said Champion University. He had said the continent of the 9 clouds. The members of Celestial Godly University, Ancient University, and Four Seasons University all pulled a long face. Some smiled coldly on the inside. King of the continent of the 9 clouds? How arrogant! How insolent! Spoke up someone instantly. How could Champion University decide who the king of the continent of the 9 clouds was? Could Lin Feng be considered the king of the continent of the 9 clouds, just because he had finished first at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds? Chapter 2305. Pressure. Calling someone the king of the continent of the 9 clouds was a bit funny actually. The continent of the 9 clouds was extremely vast. Who could be considered its king? And now that Champion University dared call Lin Feng the king of the continent of the 9 clouds, it meant they considered everybody else beneath their notice. Lin Feng was astonished too. He hadn't thought they'd proclaim him as both champion and king of the continent of the 9 clouds. But since they did it, he just smiled indifferently. It was just a title on top of that, and Lin Feng didn't really care about titles. Besides, Lin Feng was more ambitious than that. He didn't care about being strong in the continent of the 9 clouds. He wanted to be at the very top. He wanted to dominate the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. However, Lin Feng was surprised because Champion University had dared call him the champion of the continent of the 9 clouds. Didn't they care about the other universities? The other universities were angry about it, but Lin Feng didn't care about that. His state of mind had changed. They didn't scare him anymore. Tiantai is nothing. They're just a small group of disciples from Champion University. Tiantai is a tiny group in the Holy City. Champion University organizing such a ceremony is a bit over the top. Aren't you afraid of losing your credibility? Spat a strong cultivator of Celestial Godly University coldly. Celestial Godly University also had an incredible cultivator, Chu Chun Chiu, but they didn't organize such an ceremony for him. Of course, if Chu Chun Chiu came back to Celestial Godly University, they would organize a great party. That was obvious. Does it have anything to do with you? Said Ancestor Shirtian, turning to him. Today it's Tiantai's creation. Anyone can come to watch. Nobody forced anyone to come. People who are here to congratulate them. If you don't like what you see here, piss off. The strong cultivator of Celestial Godly University was astonished and grimaced. Champion University and Celestial Godly University were both universities in the Holy City, and Champion University was talking to Celestial Godly University that way because of Tiantai. It was extremely humiliating. Good Champion University, good. Of course, what you do has nothing to do with me. But I was just worried about you because everybody in the Holy City is going to make fun of you. Lin Feng is not even here. And not only are you offering cauldrons in his honor, but you're also proclaiming him king of the continent of the 9 clouds. Don't you feel ashamed? Your ancestors must be alive. Have they ever been called king of the continent of the 9 clouds? Retorted the strong cultivator of Celestial Godly University coldly. The members of Celestial Godly University were all staring at him. Ancestor Shirtian said coldly, Tiantai and Champion University are allies. If anyone dares insult and humiliate Tiantai again, Champion University will take it personally and will kill them. Energy started building up with whistles. Everyone was astonished. Champion University dared act that aggressively in front of Celestial Godly University. As expected, the strong cultivator of Celestial Godly University shut his mouth. He couldn't fight against the 8 ancestors of the Champion University. Ancestor Shirtian turned around, and the ancestors landed on the ground. They appeared in front of Tiantai's disciples in a line. Lin Feng, Champion University proclaims you a king today, said Ancestor Shirtian smiled. Everybody was stupefied. Was Lin Feng there? Lin Feng? Where was Lin Feng? The crowd turned around, and looked at the members of Tiantai. Was he in there? Even the students of Champion University, and many disciples from Tiantai, looked for Lin Feng. Was he there? Lin Feng. Some strong cultivators from various powerful groups shivered. If Lin Feng was there, it meant that he was there when the 4 ancient holy clans had been destroyed. Back then, there were tensions between Lin Feng and them. Maybe the legends are true, that Champion University destroyed the 4 ancient holy clans. They wanted to avenge Lin Feng, because he's now a disciple of the Fortune Shrine, and he's talented? Ventured some people. Regarding the destruction of the 4 ancient holy clans, those were details only known to insiders. Lin Feng smiled wryly. He couldn't hide anymore. His face changed and he raised his head, taking off his robe. It's Brother Lin Feng indeed. He looks just like that statue. Brother Lin Feng, he's back in the holy city, and we didn't know it. How handsome. Just like the statue. And he looks extraordinarily strong. The students of Champion University were amazed. Lin Feng was a member of Champion University, just like them. He had achieved so much. He had amazed the whole city back in the days. And now Champion University called him the king of the continent of the 9 clouds. That wasn't necessary, ancestor, said Lin Feng, shaking his head with a smile. You refused to become a champion back in the days, now you're a king. Isn't it great? Ancestor Shirtian smiled. Lin Feng was touched and moved. The ancestors were strong, and with their support, Tiantai would face less trouble. Tiantai and Champion University could become terrifying groups in the holy city together. Lin Feng, shouted someone at that moment. Lin Feng turned around and saw Ancestor Zhu Tian. Ancestor Zhu Tian said, Back then my sense of judgment failed me, and I failed to see how strong and talented you were. I feel guilty and ashamed. If I offended you back in the days, I'm very sorry. I'm happy that you've become the king of the continent of the 9 clouds now. An ancestor of Champion University was apologizing to Lin Feng publicly. Champion University's disciples were astonished. Was Lin Feng that strong, powerful, and influential already? An ancestor of Champion University was apologizing to Lin Feng publicly. Don't mention it, those were insignificant things, Lin Feng smiled. He really didn't take them to heart, and he had gotten rid of Ji Chang a long time ago. Now the ancestor had apologized in front of everybody. Lin Feng couldn't blame him for anything. Ancestor Zhu Tian smiled in relief and nodded approval. Lin Feng, I hope you'll become the real king of the continent of the 9 clouds soon. Lin Feng smiled, but said nothing. The ancestors already talked to Lin Feng, like someone who had the same social status. Lin Feng had become that influential. Lin Feng is in the holy city, said someone at that moment. Many new people appeared. The ancestors of Champion University were startled. Some of the most powerful cultivators of the other universities had arrived. It means that Champion University destroyed the 4 ancient holy clans, said a strong cultivator at that moment. Champion University went too far, they said coldly. Lin Feng frowned. Tiantai is just a bunch of young people, and now Champion University is supporting them like this. But you're only doing it because Lin Feng finished first at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, and is now a member of the Fortune Shrine. You're using your students to get closer to the shrines. How shameless. Those people sounded really angry, as if they were there to punish Champion University. Everybody, today is Tiantai's inauguration day. Can you talk about those things another time? Asked Mu Chen. The disciples of Tiantai all pulled long faces. Shut up. Who do you think you are to talk to me, you weakling? Said that person coldly. He released oppressive energies which surrounded Mu Chen. Mu Chen took a few steps backwards. You think that because Champion University helped you set up in the city center, you're really strong? Don't overestimate yourselves, said someone else. These people had come with a goal, to confront Champion University. These last few years, because of Lin Feng's reputation, many geniuses had decided to study at Champion University. Now that Tiantai had been established in the holy city, Lin Feng's influence was expanding even more. With Champion University, they could become too influential. It would have bad consequences for the 3 other universities. Therefore, they wanted to put pressure on them. Of course, They couldn't attack Lin Feng directly, verbally or physically, because he was a disciple of the Fortune Shrine. Therefore, they didn't talk to him. However, they didn't know that by insulting Mu Chun, they had already infuriated Lin Feng. He could be patient, he could ignore a lot of things, but he couldn't tolerate other people insulting his fellow disciples, teachers, family members. And the gratitude he had for his two teachers couldn't be described with words. The universities have access to more information than ancient holy clans. Maybe they know things people don't regarding the destruction of the ancient holy clans. Arose the whispers, especially those from other ancient holy clans. They were happy to see that the three other universities put some pressure on Champion University. "You're insolent," said Ho Ching Lin and the other disciples of Tiantai. They were furious. The direct disciples of Tiantai were all like Lin Feng. They couldn't let anyone insult their teachers. They cared about their teachers more than about themselves. "What? Tiantai, a new and tiny little group, wants to see how strong they are in comparison with us universities?" replied one of them coldly. "Tiantai, we can easily destroy it." "Say that again," said a voice coldly. The crowd turned around and saw Lin Feng slowly rise up into the air. Lin Feng, the one who had ranked first at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, hadn't shown up in the holy city for a long time. Chapter 2306. Astonishing battle. According to legends, back in the days, Lin Feng had fought alone against 8 geniuses and had crushed them. Back then, Lin Feng had killed Ji Chang. Back then, Lin Feng finished first at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds and amazed the whole continent. Those were only some of Lin Feng's achievements. People in the holy city were still astonished by his deeds. Now Lin Feng was a disciple of the Fortune Shrine and terrifyingly talented. His position had changed. No wonder Champion University attached so much importance to him and called him a king. However, from what the crowd could see, even though Lin Feng was extremely talented, 20 years had passed since he had finished first at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, and he had only become a celestial emperor. How could he fight against saint emperors? The strong cultivators of the Fortune Shrine weren't going to come and help him. But at that moment, Lin Feng rose up into the air and threatened some saint emperors. The universities of the holy city were much stronger than the ancient holy clans. However, Lin Feng didn't mind. He looked at that saint emperor icily, his eyes filled with murder. The saint emperor frowned. Did Lin Feng want to die? "Humph," that person grunted coldly, staring at Lin Feng, and said, "Why would I repeat myself? I don't think Tiantai wants to see who's stronger between them and us anyway. Even though you're talented, you'll still need another 30 years at least before being qualified to stand in front of me." 30 years. Ancestor Shi Tian smiled coldly. The 8 ancestors stepped forwards and released a terrifying qi. The strong cultivators who had just arrived were stupefied, staring at the ancestors of Champion University. Would they dare fight against the 3 other universities? However, the 8 ancestors of Champion University surrounded the one who had just insulted Mu Chun and looked at him coldly. The only person facing him directly was Lin Feng. Lin Feng released cold energies, and death strength surrounded him. Everything became gray around him. What's going on? The saint emperors of the other universities were astonished. It was so cold their souls were shaking. The death intent was penetrating into their bodies. Lin Feng's death Dao filled the air. Black lights twinkled everywhere. The saint emperor's face turned deathly pale and gray. Maximum level Dao, that's? His heart was pounding. How could Lin Feng's Dao be at the maximum level? It meant that he met one of the requirements to become a saint already. Maximum level Dao. With the power of his mind, he could destroy whole cities in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng took a step forwards and 2 and 3. Each time he took a step forwards, the saint emperor heard a funeral bell clang in his head. However, he was a saint emperor, his vitality and intent were incredible and explosive. He started expelling the death strength from his body. Suddenly, the source of the 9 netherworlds appeared and collided with the death strength. People on the ground were astonished. That's Brother Lin Feng, he's so strong. In such a short time, he's able to fight against saint emperors. The students of Champion University were astonished and amazed. No wonder he had finished first at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds. He was terrifyingly strong and talented. Would he really need 30 more years to compete with the Saint Emperor? It wasn't over. A peerless king weapon strength emerged from Lin Feng's body and condensed into a sword in the sky, and he infused godly strength into it. That sword vibrated and fused together with death strength. Lin Feng's chi surged. He used his full strength to condense that sword. Nobody knew how powerful that sword attack was. Path of a cultivation god, forbidden strength, unmatched sword. It felt like the whole world was about to turn into a sword. The Saint Emperor kept releasing chi, but he was oppressed, and his chi was weakening. The ancestors of Champion University, who encircled him, were completely astonished. Was that Lin Feng's own strength? He was already so strong. Lin Feng's robe was fluttering in the wind. People around didn't look at him as a student of Champion University or a disciple of Tiantai anymore. With his strength, he could be the patriarch of a sect or a great scholar respected for learning and integrity. His sword looked like the sword of a god. 30 years, you really think too highly of yourself, Lin Feng said calmly. He looked like a god. The strong cultivator of Celestial Godly University couldn't believe it his eyes. Die, said Lin Feng. He condensed the strength of the 10,000 things of creation in his god sword, which streaked across the sky towards the strong cultivator of Celestial Godly University. The strong cultivator of Celestial Godly University shouted defiantly, even as he sensed some cursing strength surround him. He couldn't see clearly anymore. He didn't know which side the sword was attacking from anymore. Sword lights glittered in front of him. This was one of Lin Feng's most powerful attacks. It contained all sorts of strength and had no weakness. It even diffused cursing and soundwave strength. When the Saint Emperor released an attack to protect himself, it was already too late. The crowd saw dazzling lights absorb the Saint Emperor and crush him, before he turned to smoke and dispersed. Lin Feng was standing in the sky, looking like a god. 30 years to compete with him? Repeated the crowd. How ridiculous. One sword attack and he had been defeated. From now on, one more sentence will be added to my university's ranking list. Champion University offered 9 cauldrons to Lin Feng, and he killed a Saint Emperor in one sword attack. Exclaimed some students of Champion University. They were very excited. This guy was their fellow disciple, and a peerless genius. Wait, so the 4 ancient holy clans, the crowd realized suddenly. Lin Feng had come back to destroy his old enemies? It was as if everything became clear all of a sudden. Brother Lin Feng had done that. Who was the mysterious army, though? At that moment, the strong cultivators of the other 3 universities were trembling. Lin Feng looked at them and said coldly, "Get down." The strong cultivators of the 3 universities grimaced. How insolent. However, they realized that Lin Feng had probably destroyed the 4 ancient holy clans, so they didn't dare act recklessly. The universities have existed for a long time. Some of them are like some ancient holy clans. They like to act arrogantly in front of other people, said Lin Feng evenly. A cold wind brushed against those people. What did Lin Feng mean? Get down. People from 4 Seasons University descended from the sky, which made the crowd frown. 4 Seasons University acknowledged Lin Feng? After that, ancient university also descended from the sky. Lin Feng looked at the members of Celestial Godly University, and finally, they descended from the sky. The crowd looked at Lin Feng and shivered. Lin Feng had become so influential that he could put pressure on 3 universities. He looked like a conquering hero. Everybody, in the future, you better assess your own strength properly before saying anything you could regret. Even if a group has existed in the holy city for thousands of years, they can be destroyed from one day to the next. Lin Feng went on patiently. The universities and ancient holy clans were all astonished. Had Lin Feng truly destroyed the 4 ancient holy clans? Tiantai is here now. Everybody else can leave, said Lin Feng indifferently. It was enough for the day. Lin Feng had also destroyed the 4 ancient holy clans for Tiantai to rise in peace. Now they would be unstoppable. Some people left dispirited. Some people left amazed. Some people stayed because they wanted to become members of Tiantai. Lin Feng left. He had shown how strong he was already. That was enough. He had to be careful because the shrines were looking for him. Lin Feng went back to Champion University. In the Celestial Mountains, there was a woman. She looked aloof from worldly strife like a celestial being. She looked happy, relaxed, and lighthearted and yet slightly cold. She was practicing cultivation. At that moment, she slowly opened her eyes and saw someone in the distance. Chapter 2307. Ancient World. Shuebagyo looked at Lin Feng. He looked familiar, but she didn't recognize him. Ancestor Shirtian was behind Lin Feng. He said to Lin Feng telepathically, "In order not to disturb her cultivation, I won't make her remember the past. Her memory is getting worse and worse. She has no long-term memory anymore. And her short-term memory is also getting worse each day. But she seems to understand rules. And each time she senses she's about to forget what she was just experiencing, she comes back here to practice cultivation." Lin Feng was astonished and replied, "Does she practice cultivation faster and faster though?" If her memory was worsening, it could mean that she was practicing faster and faster. Indeed, she's becoming really strong. As she accumulates strength in her body with time, she becomes more and more terrifying. But each time, her cultivation resets. "Anyway, I have to admit the selfless scriptures are truly fearsome," said Ancestor Shirtian. He was astonished. He had thought that Shuebagyo would remember everything after breaking through to the Diqi layer. But she was already a celestial emperor, and her cultivation speed was unearthly. Some people in the outside world would be astonished by her cultivation speed, said Ancestor Shirtian telepathically. Lin Feng nodded. Chu Chunchio's speed was incredible already. But no wonder Shuebagyo was a reincarnation. She had forgotten her previous lives. That was an advantage compared to ordinary people who remembered their previous lives. However, during the first 20 years of her life, she hadn't progressed quickly at all. She will probably remember who she is when she breaks through to the Shengdi layer. She might even remember her previous lives, whispered Ancestor Shirtian. Shuebagyo looked at Lin Feng and said, "Who are you? Why do I have the impression that I know you?" "I'm Lin Feng. We were good friends in the past," said Lin Feng, smiling at Shuebagyo. As expected, she had forgotten about him again. "Lin Feng," repeated Shuebagyo. She whispered, "You look very familiar." Lin Feng smiled at Shuebagyo. "When you recover your memories, you will remember me." "All right," Shuebagyo nodded. "Continue practicing cultivation so that you can recover your memories quickly," said Lin Feng calmly, before he and Ancestor Shirtian left. Shuebagyo focused on cultivation. She remembered nothing. Since she had decided to study the selfless scriptures in her previous life, she had no choice now. Lin Feng left the Celestial Mountain and went somewhere to meet Lang Yi. "What's wrong?" Lin Feng asked Lang Yi, who had just contacted him. "An elder of the World Clan wants to see you," Lang Yi said to Lin Feng. "Where?" Lin Feng was extremely surprised. Why would an elder of the World Clan want to see him? The World Clan was an ancient clan. In the past, they used to be like the Snow Clan, but then something had happened to them, and they had to hide in dark clouds. They didn't seem to care about the outside world. "He's in Champion University already, where Tiantai used to be," said Lang Yi. "Let's go," Lin Feng agreed. What did that elder want from him? When they arrived, Lin Feng saw the elder from the World Clan. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being. He had a very long beard and a robe with the 8 trigrams on it. He glanced at Lin Feng, smiled, and nodded. "So young and you can already kill Saint Emperors, you're extremely talented." "No need to be polite," Lin Feng smiled back. "Have a seat." "All right," the elder nodded. He went on. "Lin Feng, we've heard about the things that happened to you in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. Appearance of a forbidden body. The shrines want to kill you. You're the shrine's first target now. So the World Clan isn't completely isolated from the outside world," Lin Feng noted, amused. "The World Clan has been silent for a very, very long time, but we have always wanted to rise again. How could we isolate ourselves from the outside world completely? Nowadays, Lang Yi, who has a king-type body, is slowly rising. I hope he will become extremely strong, And he'll help the world clan come back to life, said the elder. Lin Feng inquired mildly. So the world clan is eager to come back to life. Will you come out of the mountains? Indeed, said the elder somewhat eagerly. We want to march into the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. March into the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. Lin Feng was astonished. The world clan had been hiding for such a long time. Had they accumulated so much strength already? Do those things have anything to do with me? Asked Lin Feng. He was curious. The world clan had been hiding for a very long time, and now they wanted to rise again. So why were they looking for him? He had good relations with the world clan, but he was not very important at the scale of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. His influence was limited there. On top of that, the shrines wanted to kill him. The world clan needs someone to support them. I would like to have you as an ally. If we go to the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds together, we'll be able to gain a firm foothold and establish ourselves. Your disguise abilities are incredible. If you disguise yourself and go to the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds with us, you can pretend you're from the world clan. Wouldn't it be perfect? That person grinned knowingly. Lin Feng's eyes glittered. The world clan wanted to help him. If he did that, he would be able to avoid some trouble there. As the world clan had disappeared for such a long time, even if there was a very strong cultivator among them, nobody would find it strange. But that wouldn't be useful for the world clan at all? Lin Feng didn't understand why the world clan wanted to do that. In the past your wife was extremely strong. Now you're strong. We hope you can help us rise in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, the elder explained. Lin Feng was surprised. The world clan probably knew he was a forbidden person. Lin Feng smiled and said, All right, since you are willing to do that, how could I refuse? I can't wait, agreed the strong cultivator of the world clan cheerfully. Both of them smiled. They had an agreement. Lin Feng didn't know how strong the world clan was just yet. He had already shown up in the holy city. He couldn't stay here for too long. Each time he met his friends, it was for a short, yet wonderful time. Nobody in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds knew what Lin Feng had done in the holy city, and even if some people learned about it, it would be too late already. In the northwest area of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, the marriage alliance between the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan was still fermenting. Everybody in the northwest area knew what had happened between Lin Feng and the shrines. Because of Lin Feng, all the shrines had joined hands, and worse, the Fire Shrine had lost a saint. Now something extremely strange had happened in the northwest area. Suddenly a new group had emerged. They were extremely strong, with an army of heroes. They instantly started competing with people from the northwest area, stealing resources and territories without the slightest scruple. But because they hadn't become as important as other holy sage ruler clans, people didn't really pay attention to them. Something else drew people's attention. A terrifyingly strong celestial emperor from the demon shrine was killed. All the shrines paid attention to that news item, because that celestial emperor was a genius, and had a great reputation in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. However, someone had killed him. Some people were even amused because the family name of the killer was Mo, a traditional family name in the demon shrine, and he had killed people from the demon shrine. After that, some people said that the one who had killed him wasn't famous. He was around 30 years old, and when he was only 20, he was already terrifyingly strong. He had started practicing cultivation as an infant. His Tao strength was incredible. In another world, Hell, he was famous. He was from the Hell Shrine, and in Hell, it was said that such geniuses only appeared every million years. Now he was in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, and fighting against other strong cultivators. His name was Emozheng, the demonic punisher. Chapter 2308. Mojia's battle stage. Some geniuses of the demon shrine were killed by the demonic punisher. Of course, they weren't going to leave the matter at that. However, since Emozheng the demonic punisher always killed people of the same cultivation level, the demon shrine couldn't send stronger cultivators to kill him. He was from the Hell Shrine after all. But the demonic punisher couldn't just leave it be. A celestial emperor of the demon shrine invited many people. Of course, he also invited Emojang. The crowd knew why. On that day, many people went to the meeting point, ancient demon city's Emojia's battle stage. According to legends, the founder of the demon shrine was a demon god, and he had fought on that battle stage. He had killed many people. He had become a symbol for many demon cultivators. The Emojia's battle stage was surrounded by 8 flags. On each flag, there was a demon shield and blood stains. There were many strong cultivators around the battle stage, gongs clanged ceaselessly. It was quite lively. Many extremely strong cultivators were present. Shui Jingxiao is with Dichan now. He is a genius from the Snow Clan, who is now a member of the Ice and Snow Shrine. Lin Feng went to the Snow Clan and defeated him. The first of the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds doesn't have an undeserved reputation. Many people were looking at someone from the Snow Clan, Shui Jingxiao. Next to him were Di Jiang and Di Chan, as well as some other strong cultivators of the Snow Clan. Brother Di Jiang, Brother Jingxiao, called out a few people at that moment. They were from the Fire Shrine, Huoxingzi and Huoshang. Brother Huoshang, are you not preparing Huoxingzi's wedding? How come you have time to come here? Asked Di Jiang with a warm smile. We're not in a rush. Mo Fu invited so many people. How could we miss the battles? Replied Huoshang cheerfully. Mo Fu was the one who wanted to fight against Mo Zheng. The demon shrine couldn't get involved directly, so people of the same generation had to solve the issue themselves. Those people were all famous and smart. They knew what to do. The shrines wouldn't get involved unless Lin Feng showed up, or unless things derailed. He's here, said Di Jiang at that moment, gazing into the distance. A few new people had arrived. Some strong cultivators of the demon shrine. And Mo Fu was there too. Everybody watched the strong cultivators of the demon shrine, as many people from different shrines were there. Mo Zheng had drawn many people's attention. How lively! Someone else arrived, his silhouette flickering a few times. His eyes were golden. Empty space shrine strong cultivator. Ha 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 ha. Someone laughed loudly in the distance. People gazed into the distance and saw some dragon strength. Dragon chant. The crowd saw a few people. Their chi was wild and extraordinary. The eyes of the leader were filled with flames. The one next to him had red eyes, and the one behind looked calm and aloof. He was wearing black clothes. His chi wasn't explosive, but his pitch-black eyes looked scary. Ali, Huoshang was astonished, staring at one of them who had fire-red hair. He frowned and said coldly, "You came to the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, to ancient demon city? What's wrong? Why wouldn't I come, little boy?" Ali asked Huoshang in a brutal tone of voice. The crowd was stupefied. Ali wasn't ordinary. He dared call Huoshang little boy? They were powerful cultivators from the Supreme Animal World. Supreme Animal World's Dragon Clan. The crowd was really astonished. Those people were from the Dragon Clan of the Supreme Animal World. Those who could found clans in the Supreme Animal World were terrifyingly strong. The Supreme Animal World was the only group the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds feared, because they had some terrifying clans, like the Dragon Clan. Human strength lay in their cultivation. Animals were different, they had inherent abilities. Why did the Dragon Clan come to ancient demon city? Asked the strong cultivator with the golden eyes. He looked sharp and aggressive. We came to see if there was anyone strong here, Ali smiled. He was a fire dragon, and when he was very young, he had fought against some young people of the shrines. The shrines and the Supreme Animal World often had meetings and cultivation competitions, but nobody really knew the details. Of course, the purpose was always to check out how strong the enemy was. Those people rarely showed up in the outside world, so people didn't know much about them. It's a blood dragon, and there's a demon dragon too, said the strong cultivator with the golden eyes. He was staring at Ali. Even though the void-breaking vision is powerful, you're underestimating the members of the Dragon Clan. Be careful, I could eat you alive. Ali snorted coldly to the empty space cultivator. Humph. Are you strong enough? Spat the empty space shrine's strong cultivator. The crowd looked at Ali and the 2 other people, the blood dragon and the demon dragon. They were all from prestigious dragon families. Let's try and we'll see, replied Ailey coldly. If you want to try, then let's try, said the empty space shrine's strong cultivator. Two threads of strength rolled out and collided. People were speechless. Emojang hadn't even arrived. The demon shrine and Emojang's battle hadn't even started. And now the dragon clan and the empty space shrine were already starting to fight. At that moment, another group of people arrived. Their leader was wearing a world robe, looking confident and at ease. At his sides were extraordinary-looking cultivators. Some of them also emitted bestial qi. The leader of the group was Lin Feng. They landed on the ground and calmly glanced around. Lin Feng looked over at the three dragons. So many years have passed. That little boy has grown up. Lin Feng smiled indifferently, but nobody noticed him. In the distance, people raised their heads and heard a sonic boom as the person who made it arrived. When they saw him, people frowned. He looked like a demon, imposing and awe-inspiring. His eyes looked like two abyssal caves. Emojang. The strong cultivators of the demon shrine all watched him. Emojang landed on a flag, his hands clasped behind his back. He glanced at the members of the demon shrine and asked coldly, "Which member of the demon shrine wants to die today?" When the crowd heard him, they frowned. How arrogant. The other times they had just heard of him, but they hadn't seen him. He put on an air of extreme arrogance. Everybody knew him in hell. He was a core disciple of the Hell Shrine. But Mo Fu is also terrifyingly strong. I wonder who will be stronger, thought the crowd. They were not disappointed. There were many geniuses. No rush. Many people want to fight today, so the battle between the demon shrine and the Hell Shrine can be at the end, said Huashang cheerfully. He watched the strong cultivator from the empty space shrine and Ailey going at it. He really wanted to know how strong Ailey was. Indeed, there are so many strong cultivators. Let's compare ourselves. We should all take advantage of Emojia's battle stage. Someone else agreed at that moment. Dazzling golden lights appeared at the top of a flag. It was a strong cultivator from the Gold Shrine. If you want to exchange views on cultivation, then hurry up, said Emojang indifferently. He was standing on the top of the flagpole, his robe fluttering in the wind. Chapter 2309. Strong cultivators from everywhere. The crowd watched Emojang atop the flagpole. A genius from the Hell Shrine. His chi was extraordinary. Many strong cultivators had come to Emojia's battle stage. They had come to exchange views on cultivation, including many people from other shrines. Some people from holy sage ruler clans, and some people just to watch. Huashang, if you want to fight, just fight. Talking is useless. I'll be happy to devour you alive, said Ailey proudly. His eyes were filled with flames. He was a fire dragon, and Huashang was a disciple of the fire shrine. Ailey wanted to see how powerful Huashang's fire was. Let's do it then, let's fight, said Huashang agreeably. He jumped onto Emojia's battle stage, fire surrounding his body instantly. Huashingzi also walked onto the battle stage. Haha, Aoshu, let's go, said Ailey to Aoshu. Ailey landed opposite them and said, Huashingzi has the same cultivation level as you, he's yours. Aoshu nodded. Back in the day, when Emojang had first appeared in the outside world, he was already a high-level imperial beast in the animal supreme world. Now many years had passed, and he was already a celestial imperial beast. His cultivation level seemed very stable, and his fighting abilities were probably incredible. He was a real dragon, so he had an inherent talent. Anyone else want to play? Come here. We're not here to kill. We're here to exchange views for real, said Ailey. Someone groaned coldly. It was the empty space shrine's strong cultivator. He jumped onto the battle stage. Di Jiang smiled and said, Jing Xiao, let's go and have some fun? Shui Jing Xiao muttered to himself irresolutely. Last time in the Snow Clan, he had suffered a crushing defeat against Lin Feng. At the same time, the Snow Clan's reputation had been crushed. One of their monarchs had died. Two had been taken away. He was the last one left. It was a tragedy. He had to fight to regain face. He nodded and jumped onto the battle stage. There were so many strong cultivators on Emojia's battle stage. I want to have some fun too, said Gu Xianfeng. He was from the demon shrine. He had come with Mo Fu. During the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds, he had tried to kill Lin Feng, who had strength at the top of the Huangqi layer. Now he was like Huixingzi. He had broken through to the Tiandi layer. Even though he had become a celestial emperor a short time before, he was a cultivator from a shrine, and very strong. The people next to Lin Feng seemed excited and eager to try. Lin Feng smiled and said, "No rush. We'll see afterwards." Lin Feng had brought Qinghai's rock and the others. He had also brought some celestial imperial beasts from the army the king of the 10,000 beasts had given to him. They were all extremely strong. They wanted to compare themselves with the geniuses of this world. It was normal. The strong cultivators on the Mojia's battle stage already started fighting. The battle stage was on fire. There were powerful blood lights around Aoshu. Dao Power kept assaulting his opponent, trying to crush him. At the same time, some illusionary blood dragons bared fangs and brandished claws as they attacked. Huixingzi grunted coldly. He took out a fire mace and attacked the dragons, which made them roar furiously before they started burning. "Die!" shouted Aoshu, punching out in his opponent's direction. Huixingzi was startled, his fire mace instantly disappearing. He swallowed and released more fire which surrounded him. A fireball appeared in his hand. "Break!" Dragon chants spread in the air. The dragon's powers were explosive, immediately destroying the fireball. Aoshu was staring at his opponent, shooting blood lights towards him. But Huixingzi stood steadfast, and the fire in his hand grew more and more intense. Blood dragons raced towards him. The crowd couldn't see Huixingzi at all anymore. He disappeared inside all those blood dragons. Suddenly, fingers emerged from the blood lights. Fire pierced through them. Some blood dragons were instantly destroyed. The others started burning and disappeared. In the end, only some blood dragon's claws reached him. The two attacks collided. The blood lights surrounded Huixingzi's fire. Both opponents collided, then they were both forced away. When they stopped moving, there was blood on Aoshu's fist, and flames had appeared around him. Huixingzi was trembling and covered with blood. Aoshu's attack was so explosive, he had the impression he had nearly died. At that kind of cultivation level, people have to control themselves not to use their full strength. They only use a little bit of strength. Nobody knows how strong a cultivator is, but themselves, thought Lin Feng. Saints could kill the strongest great emperors in the blink of an eye with the power of their minds. Even the fire shrine saint had died easily because the diviner was too strong. "Huashang, come and try," challenged Aili, stepping forwards. The battle stage trembled. Huashang's eyes were filled with flames. At that moment, a wind carried a cold qi, like the battle stage was about to freeze. Ice King intent filled the air. That person was much stronger than Aoshu and Huixingzi. Snow Clan Shuejing Xiao. "I've wanted to exchange views with the dragons of the Supreme Animal World's Dragon Clan for a long time," said Shuejing Xiao calmly. Fire and ice were antagonist kinds of strengths, and they were both beasts. "Same here, let's see how strong a king of the Snow Clan can be," returned Aili evenly. They started fighting. It was a great battle too. Fire and ice kept colliding as they invaded the battle stage. Their battle was quite dangerous. When Aili and Shuejing Xiao moved away from one another, they were both injured. They both had similar strength. Shuejing Xiao has a king-type body, and is from the Snow Clan. Aili is from the Dragon Clan, and a terrifying genius. "They are both terrifying geniuses," the onlookers commented. "You're extremely strong. Your fighting abilities are incredible. Anyone else want to try?" said Aili indifferently. Dazzling golden lights flashed. The empty space shrine's strong cultivator jumped in front of Aili. Instantly, Aili had the impression he was in a cage, and shouted furiously. His opponent looked like an illusion, and was teleporting. His strength surged towards Aili. "Brilliant! Who else wants to fight? Come," said someone. At that moment, Kizi's Maharaja jumped up and landed on the battle stage. He was already a celestial emperor. He had broken through to the Tiandi layer a short time before. "Where are you from?" said Gu Xianfeng coldly, releasing demon energies. He started running towards the Maharaja. Each time he took a step, explosive demon strength surrounded the Maharaja. Gu Xianfeng then released some pitch-black demon punches. The Maharaja transformed and threw himself at Xianfeng, still spitting venom. Gu Xianfeng sensed the strength of the smelly poison. It was dangerous. What a strange Maharaja, but he's super strong, cheered the crowd. The people around Lin Feng jumped onto the battle stage and shouted, "Who wants to fight?" "My turn," said a cultivator of the top of the Di-Chi layer, throwing himself at Qinghai's rock. Nobody chose opponents weaker than them. Everybody wanted to fight against someone stronger. Some strong cultivators from the shrines were fighting, too. Those people's fighting abilities are incredible. Beasts or people, they're all very strong, cheered the crowd. They were a bit surprised, because there was a group of people they didn't know. They weren't from the shrines, and those from the supreme animal world didn't know them either. How come they had appeared so suddenly? Which group were they from? Many people looked at Lin Feng. He was wearing a world robe. His hair was fluttering in the wind. His chi only dimly discernible. They could sense that he was terrifyingly strong, otherwise, he wouldn't have come with such strong cultivators. In the distance, two people appeared. When Hua Xingzi saw them, he was stunned. Why are they here? Qing Feng and Jing. They had come to watch the battles. Lin Feng looked over at them. He looked on calmly. He knew they were going to be here. The demon shrine had organized this event. Lin Feng was going to take advantage of it. He slowly walked over to Jing and Qing Feng. Many strong cultivators watched him. He looked imposing and awe-inspiring. Chapter 23:10. You failed to appreciate my kindness. Lin Feng slowly walked to Qing Feng and Jing. He smiled and said, "You have an incredible chi. What's your name?" Jing looked at Lin Feng coldly. She didn't like strangers, especially foreigners. "My name is Qing Feng. And yours?" Jing was surprised, because Qing Feng immediately replied to him and smiled. Jing looked at Qing Feng. She had changed. Was she doing that on purpose for the cultivators of the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan to see? "Daimon," said Lin Feng smiling. The crowd was astonished. He dared call himself Daimon, how arrogant. "Miss Qing Feng, let's watch together," said Lin Feng, smiling kindly. "All right," Qing Feng nodded. Jing was astonished and didn't understand. She didn't know that it was Lin Feng, but Qing Feng did. Lin Feng had a new social status. He could spend time with Qing Feng now. What does she think she's doing? Jing wondered. But since Qing Feng had agreed, Jing followed along. "Hua Xingzi," said Hua Shang to Hua Xingzi. He looked amused. Qing Feng was supposed to get married to Hua Xingzi. Their respective groups had agreed. And now she was walking with another man. That man had an incredible chi, and looked extraordinary. The people he had brought with him were extremely strong too. "Qing Feng," said Hua Xingzi walking over to Qing Feng. He smiled and said, "Qing Feng, my teacher and the Void Phoenix clan have finished discussing our marriage. You just have to agree now." "You're getting married?" said Lin Feng, looking surprised. "No," said Qing Feng, shaking her head. Hua Xingzi was stunned and said, "Qing Feng, you agreed. How can you take back your word now? We're done organizing everything." "I just said I'd agreed to think about getting married. I never agreed to get married to you. And we never agreed on a date either," said Qing Feng coldly. Hua Xingzi was astonished. "Shrines try to force women to get married?" said Lin Feng with a cold smile. "Shut your filthy mouth. Who are you to talk about shrines?" spat Hua Xingzi coldly. "You want to die," said someone next to Lin Feng, releasing a terrifying bestial chi. A strong wind started blowing around Hua Xingzi. Hua Xingzi's expression changed drastically, and he jumped backwards, feeling oppressed. However, at that moment, he realized that the speaker had gone back where he was standing a moment before, as calm and composed as if nothing had happened. Hua Xingzi pulled a long face. How humiliating. Some strong cultivators from the Fire Shrine walked in their direction. Their chi surged towards Lin Feng and the others. Hua Shang asked coldly, "Which faction are you from?" Lin Feng said calmly, "World Clan Daimon." "The World Clan?" Hua Shang was startled and frowned. The World Clan, which had disappeared for such a long time, was back. Many years before, a terrifyingly strong cultivator had risen in the World Clan. Thanks to him, the World Clan had become splendid and glorious. Back then was a golden age for them. But after that, Something mysterious had happened. There were details only known to insiders. Few people knew that the Saint of the World clan had fallen. Nobody knew the details. After that, the World clan had faced a tragedy. Many clans had joined hands to fight against them, and they had disappeared. The World clan started acting behind the scenes, staying hidden. Many forgot about them. Time passed, and they disappeared from the continent of the 9 clouds. And now they were back. Many people thought it was a pity back then when you disappeared. Now you're back, good for you, said Huashang calmly. But my fellow disciple didn't say anything wrong. Miss Qingfeng really agreed to get married to someone from the Fire Shrine. The World clan can't get involved. Miss Qingfeng, is that true? Asked Lin Feng. It's not, obviously, replied Qingfeng. Lin Feng nodded. There are some blue bottles here. We'll get in touch again, Miss Qingfeng, said Lin Feng before he and his group left. Huashang was amazed. That guy was arrogant. He didn't give the Fire Shrine any face. Did the World clan think they were strong enough? Actually, many people were convinced that the World clan hadn't disappeared for real. They had been hiding and accumulating strength. And now they had finally shown up again. Wait, Huashang said to Lin Feng. He sounded cold. The World clan dared disrespect the Fire Shrine? Lin Feng turned around and looked at Huashang. Huashang smiled and said, Who are the blue bottles you were talking about? Lin Feng smiled evilly and sneered. You don't understand? I heard you, but the World clan just reappeared. You should watch your words. Otherwise, all the efforts you've made during these thousands of years will be in vain in the end. Apologize for saying that, said Huashang, smiling icily. He just saw silhouettes flicker. Some strong cultivators from the Fire Shrine immediately gathered around Huashang and released their flames. They wanted to burn Lin Feng and the others. Apologize. Lin Feng smiled. What if I don't? We'll see how long the World clan will survive, said Huashang emotionlessly. Many people looked at them. The battles weren't over, and the Fire Shrine were already having problems with the World clan. Many people were amused. If you say so, said Lin Feng, smiling widely. Did it mean they were going to fight? The air became scorching hot, and more flames appeared. Many people retreated. It was going to be a group battle between the Fire Shrine and the World clan. The World clan had just come back to life. Who was that daimon? And was he going to have his first battle against a shrine? A terrifying chi erupted out. The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine walked towards Lin Feng and the others. At the same time, the strong cultivators on Lin Feng's side also walked towards them. Some cultivators started fighting instantly. Fire energies filled the air with deadly flames. There really were some cultivators from the World clan with Lin Feng, who were extremely strong. World lights dashed to the skies and sent the flames to another world. Only Huashang and Lin Feng didn't move. They were staring at one another calmly. Huashang said, They're all geniuses from the Fire Shrine. No need to be polite. You can join hands and use your full strength. When Lin Feng heard that, his friends all started fighting against them. The group of people Lin Feng had brought was stronger than Huashang's group. Finally, a strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine, who was surrounded by 2 people, was injured and started crying out. The beasts were merciless and continued striking. They wanted to crush him. Huashang wanted to move, but he sensed an ominous chi fixed on him. He was astonished and looked at Lin Feng. Boom! Another strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine was injured. His face was deathly pale. You bastard, said Huashang coldly. The Fire Shrine provoked us and you told us to use our full strength, so, replied Lin Feng coolly. He turned around and started leaving. The Fire Shrine bullied and provoked the World clan? It was actually the opposite, but the Fire Shrine had initiated the battle. Lin Feng had infuriated them on purpose. They were a shrine, and in everybody's eyes they were really strong. The World clan had to use their full strength against them. Everybody agreed. Going, swore Huashang coldly. He condensed fire and ran towards Lin Feng. Raising his hands, he shouted furiously, Where are you going? Lin Feng turned around suddenly and looked at him coldly. He raised his hands as well, condensing terrifying energies. Huashang heard whistling sounds. Piss off! Lin Feng shouted furiously. His eyes looked evil as he moved towards Huashang. Hundreds of hands appeared in the air and attacked Huashang. His fire slowly weakened. An overpowering hand crashed onto Huashang's body and blood splashed. Lin Feng stopped and glanced over at the members of the fire shrine. You failed to appreciate my kindness. Chapter 23:11. Black Dragon Lin Feng was wearing a world robe. His hair was fluttering in the wind, and he sounded ice-cold. The crowd was startled. He was really strong and had easily defeated Huashang. Their battle had been even more impressive than Huashang and Ailey's battle. Huashang couldn't withstand a single attack from Lin Feng. The most surprising thing was that Lin Feng told his opponent he failed to appreciate his kindness. Who was from a shrine, Lin Feng or that Huashang? Did the World Clan think they were strong enough to compete with a shrine? The real protagonists on that day were supposed to be Mo Zheng and his opponent. And surprisingly, there were so many battles. The Supreme Animal World's strong cultivators, the World Clan. This time they were extremely strong and could oppress the Fire Shrine. Huashang was a very strong cultivator, and he had been defeated handily. The Fire Shrine shouldn't bully people, said Lin Feng indifferently. Huashang and the other members of the Fire Shrine grimaced. The Fire Shrine bullied people? Who had bullied whom here? The crowd was stunned. What a guy. Lin Feng didn't even turn around. He departed with the other cultivators of the World Clan. The strong cultivators who were from Lin Feng's group and still on the battle stage also flashed away and followed Lin Feng. They looked majestic and imposing. The crowd wondered what all this was supposed to mean. What was the World Clan's real purpose for showing up? They've been hiding for such a long time, now they're back. They wanted to tell everyone in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds that they're back, and they did it with force. Therefore, only their most outstanding geniuses must have shown up today, and the Fire Shrine was their stepping stone today. Poor Fire Shrine. The World Clan came to cause trouble today. Everybody gossiped. They also looked at Qing Feng and Jing again. They had heard of the marriage alliance plan between the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan. Hua Xingzi's teacher and Jing's father were good friends. To Hua Xingzi, Jing and Qing Feng were already members of the Fire Shrine, since they were supposed to get married to some of them. But the World Clan had humiliated them. That daimon is really strong. He defeated Huashang, thought Ailey, looking after Lin Feng. Aoshi was next to him and nodded agreement. I'll go and see. You can go back, don't wait for me, said Alma at that moment. Both of them frowned. Ailey shouted, Alma, where are you going? They didn't want anything to happen to him. Don't worry, I'll be fine. You can go back, shouted Alma. Ailey frowned, but then Aoshi said, that little boy is terrifyingly strong. He'll be fine. But that daimon is sinister and extremely strong. His group of people is also very strong, murmured Ailey, gazing after him. Alma isn't stupid. Even though Daimon is extremely strong, I don't think he wants the Dragon Clan as enemies, said Aoshi. Ailey nodded. They didn't chase after Alma and continued watching the battles. Mo Zheng was standing in the sky, staring at Mo Fu. He said plainly, it's our turn, right? Fight, said Mo Fu in a demon voice. It reverberated all around them. Mo Zheng's robe fluttered in the wind. He stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. Their demon voices made the blood boil of everyone on the Mojia's battle stage. Even celestial emperors were amazed at the power of their voices. Each time Mo Fu took a step, it seemed the world was about to collapse. A powerful wave of energy crashed onto Mo Zheng. Mo Zheng looked unshaken. He had used the Devamara body cleansing technique in the demon pond in the ancient demon clan. He was incredibly strong. After practicing demon cultivation, Mo Zheng had started studying Death Dao. Back then, the ancient demon clan had then taken him to the Tenyama courts, and then he had been accepted into the Hell Shrine. He had an extraordinary life in Hell. Mo Zheng took a step forwards and demon strength rolled out. He looked like a peerless demon. His Death Dao rolled around him fearsomely. Demonic Punisher, his demon strength is incredible, the crowd observed. He looked like an unparalleled demon king. Demon Dao, Demonic Punisher's Dao, the path of aggressiveness. Everybody was staring at Mo Zheng as he raised his fist and punched out. Floating sword, said Mo Fu coldly. His demon voice turned into a demon sword, which shot towards Emojung. However, Emojung waved his hand, and demons appeared all around and converged on the sword. Emojung wasn't weaker than Emofu. How strong! It's a clash of demons, mused the crowd. Emojung waved his hands again, and death strength appeared and turned into a river of death Dao. Dual Dao power. The crowd was astonished. Emojung understood dual Dao strength. One was demon Dao, the other one was death Dao. How impressive! He really looked like a demon god, and a god of death. The Hell Shrine's cultivators are extremely strong. In the future, the competition will be even fiercer in the Imperial Court of the Continent of the Nine Clouds. Their battle was amazing. Emofu's fighting abilities were already incredible for a celestial emperor, and he was amongst the strongest cultivators of his generation in the Demon Shrine. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invited so many people to come and watch his battle against Emojung after members of his shrine, the Demon Shrine, had been killed. In contrast, Emojung hadn't displayed such strength when he had defeated those cultivators of the Demon Shrine. Today, two shrines had lost, the Fire Shrine and the Demon Shrine. One lost against the World Clan, and the other lost against a cultivator from Hell. Lin Feng wasn't interested in their battle. After leaving, Almo caught up with him, and Lin Feng heard a dragon chant. Lin Feng suddenly turned around and looked at Almo coldly. Almo roared and turned into a black dragon. He looked ferocious. He threw himself at Lin Feng. Instantly the men next to Lin Feng turned into beasts and moved to intercept him. Bestial Qi rolled out. They were vigilant and careful. Almo was a real dragon from the Dragon Clan. Being a dragon was similar to having a king-type body. Come back, ordered Lin Feng casually. The beasts looked to Lin Feng. He looked totally composed. They came back to him, but they were still staring at that demon dragon. The huge dragon moved towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled, astonishing them. Was Lin Feng insane? But then the dragon started rubbing his face against Lin Feng's face. How cute! What is going on? Lin Feng caressed the dragon gently. He smiled and said, "Little boy, you're still young." The dragon rumbled, speaking draconic. Lin Feng jumped onto him and said, "All right, let's go." The dragon rose up in the air and they flew away. Everybody was stunned. Lin Feng had raised a dragon. Lin Feng and the others went back to the northwest area. After a short time, the news that the World Clan had started rising again in the Imperial Court of the Continent of the Nine Clouds quickly spread. The news that the World Clan had won against the Fire Shrine at the Emojia's battle stage also spread. It was the second time that the Fire Shrine had been humiliated. Chapter 23:12. Daimon draws attention in the northwest area. There was a mountain range with a powerful qi. From the top of the mountain, one could only see clouds and lofty buildings. It was the World Clan, a location great for qi. In the past, powerful groups had fought over that region, but these days, the World Clan had it for themselves. In the Imperial Court of the Continent of the Nine Clouds, every inch of land was expensive and important. If someone wanted to invade an area, they had to fight. Only strength mattered in that world. The strongest groups had the best territories. The World Clan was strong now, so they had managed to take this place. Of course, the World Clan was composed of several groups of influence. The army Lin Feng had obtained from the king of the 10,000 beasts, the army of the World Clan themselves, and Lin Feng's personal army. Everybody listened to Lin Feng, and the World Clan didn't require anything from him. The only requirement they had was that when Lin Feng was in the Imperial Court of the Continent of the Nine Clouds, he had to say he was from the World Clan. But it wasn't really a requirement, because Lin Feng needed another identity anyway. He couldn't compete with the shrines, so he couldn't stay in the Imperial Court of the Continent of the Nine Clouds relying on his real identity. There was a black dragon floating above Lin Feng. He had become tiny, only 7 meters. If Ailey saw that, he would have been astonished. A demon dragon was ferocious and brutal, and surprisingly, it looked cute in front of Lin Feng. It was difficult to imagine. However, to Alma, Lin Feng was like a mother. Lin Feng had raised him. "Little boy, let's go," said Lin Feng to Alma. Alma instantly rose up into the air and took Lin Feng away. He roared out, and everybody heard a dragon chant in the World Clan. On a gigantic stone nearby was an old man, who looked at the sky and thought, "The forbidden person has a dragon? How brilliant! The imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds won't be calm," murmured the old man, smiling thinly. Alma took Lin Feng to the entrance of the Void Phoenix clan, and roared to proclaim their arrival. Many strong cultivators of the Void Phoenix clan came out and asked Lin Feng, "Who are you, Your Excellency?" "Daimon from the World Clan. I met 2 incredibly beautiful women from the Void Phoenix clan last time, and I have a strong admiration for them. I want to see them. Please tell them," said Lin Feng calmly. The strong cultivator was startled. This guy was Daimon, the one who had easily defeated Huashang. Everybody knew it, he was extraordinary. "Please wait," replied the guards. They started talking using telepathy, and quickly, everybody, including the high officials of the Void Phoenix clan, knew that Daimon from the World Clan was there. A middle-aged man in a distant courtyard looked amused when he learned that Daimon had come. A few days ago, Huashingzi introduced that little insane cultivator to Qing Feng. But Qing Feng likes Lin Feng. Now Daimon seems interested in Qing Feng and came to see her. Things are getting interesting. The middle-aged man didn't have any suspicions regarding Daimon's identity. After all, the World Clan had reappeared, and they were very strong. The fact that they wanted to rise again was normal, especially if they had really strong cultivators. The World Clan wants to make friends with some holy sage ruler clans to help them endure the pressure from the shrines. The middle-aged man smiled when thinking about it. It really seemed to be Daimon's purpose. However, Daimon was Lin Feng. After a short time, some people appeared outside of the clan in front of Lin Feng. They were extremely strong, and were interested in Daimon and his world robe. The World Clan was very famous back in the days. Unfortunately, when I was younger, the World Clan was already hiding. There are legends in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. It is said that during the golden age of the World Clan, there was a peerless cultivator who could destroy entire worlds and was very arrogant. How did he die in the end? Daimon, you're a genius in the World Clan, so you probably know the truth. Will you tell us about him? Challenged an old man loudly at that moment. He sounded calm and serene. You can come and try to get pieces of information if you wish, replied Lin Feng, smiling thinly. The strong cultivators of the Void Phoenix clan stared at him. I'll try, said a strong cultivator at that moment, flashing forwards. He was a celestial emperor. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, I really want to see how strong the cultivators of the World Clan are, what powers they have. He threw himself at Lin Feng and raised his hand. People around heard a sonic boom. It was like a shooting star was flying towards Lin Feng. The atmosphere became illusionary and kept changing unpredictably. The man had the impression he had landed in another world. World strength corrodes cosmic energies, said Lin Feng indifferently. His opponent realized that he couldn't use his cosmic energies anymore. Lin Feng slowly walked towards him. Lin Feng struck the man, smashing him away, to crash hard to the ground. He coughed up blood and his face paled. The world around him became normal again. What's going on? My cosmic energies? That strong cultivator pulled a long face. World strength had taken him elsewhere and corroded his cosmic energies? The strong cultivators of the Void Phoenix glanced at one another in astonishment. What a strange attack. A moment before, when they realized that the two had disappeared, they had sensed a mysterious world strength, and a second later, their man reappeared and was badly injured. His cosmic energies had been corroded too. Extraordinary as expected. At that moment, nobody doubted that Lin Feng was from the World Clan at all. They had seen authentic world strength. How could they know that it was Lin Feng's own world strength? What the hell is that thing? My blood is stirring restlessly, said the strong cultivator, staring at Lin Feng and Alma. Alma looked like an illusionary dragon at that moment, because he was very small. Alma roared out angrily. A black dragon descended from the sky and landed in front of the man, sharp claws moving towards him. A terrifying oppressive strength surrounded him. The dragon was gigantic, 1,000 meters long. The cultivator's heart started pounding. The ground cracked, the claws grabbed him. If the demon dragon pressed with more force, he could cut him apart. "Be merciful!" shouted the other strong cultivators of the World Clan when they saw that. Everybody could hear a dragon chant. The demon dragon stopped moving, the strong cultivator covered with cold sweat. The strong cultivators of the Void Phoenix clan raised their heads and looked at the demon dragon. Lin Feng was standing on its head, standing there with his hands clasped behind his back, his robe fluttering in the wind. He looked enigmatic and unfathomable. It's a real dragon, he's riding a real dragon. The strong cultivators of the Void Phoenix clan were astonished. It was a demon dragon. It was probably the demon dragon who had come to the demon shrine with Ailey the other time. A dragon from the dragon clan of the supreme animal world. That gigantic dragon was real, which meant he was like human being who had a king-type body. They were proud and arrogant. That daimon from the World Clan had made him submit, and was using him as a means of transportation. He was much stronger than they had thought. The World Clan had come back to life, and had some incredible geniuses. The crowd remained silent. In the distance, an old man arrived and said to Lin Feng, "I just sent some people to call Miss Qing Feng and Miss Jing. If they want to see you, they will come." "Since it's that way, I'll wait here," Lin Feng smiled. Actually, he was already talking to Qing Feng, and nobody had informed her he was there. Even though he had displayed his strength, the Void Phoenix clan was still unwilling to let him see her. The Void Phoenix clan wanted to give the Fire Shrine face, because they had been humiliated twice. The Fire Shrine was really infuriated these days. If the Void Phoenix clan allowed Qing Feng and Jing to go and see Daimon, it would be a third humiliation. Chapter 23:13. Phoenix Blood Talisman. Lin Feng waited for an hour, and the same person said to him, "Daimon, Your Excellency, you've been waiting for a while, and they didn't come. They probably don't want to see you. You should leave." Lin Feng smiled at him and said, "Last time, Miss Qing Feng, and I had a talk and they said they would be happy to see me if I came and paid them a visit." When he saw Lin Feng's smile, the old man was surprised, but he smiled back and replied, "Maybe that they were happy at that moment, and they have changed their minds. She's going to get married to someone from the Fire Shrine. Seeing you would be inappropriate." "I don't believe you. I asked Miss Qing Feng about that. She said she didn't want to get married to anyone from the Fire Shrine in front of them." "You are a liar," said Lin Feng, shaking his head. The demon dragon roared angrily and rose up in the air. Lin Feng looked at the Void Phoenix clan's territory and suddenly spoke out, "Miss Qing Feng, Miss Jing. It's me, Daimon from the World Clan." Everybody in the Void Phoenix clan heard him. His voice caused a sound wave all over the Void Phoenix clan. Many people raised their heads and gazed into the distance. Daimon from the World Clan had defeated Huashang from the Fire Shrine. Did he like Miss Jing and Miss Qing Feng? Those two women did stand out. They were extremely beautiful. Otherwise, the Fire Shrine wouldn't have tried to propose a marriage alliance for them. "Your Excellency, what is that supposed to mean?" said a few strong cultivators from the Void Phoenix clan coldly, pulling long faces. "It means I don't believe you," said Lin Feng, lowering his hand and looking at them on the ground. After a few seconds, two silhouettes flickered as they arrived. They looked happy, relaxed and lighthearted. Qing Feng and Jing. Jing was surprised. Who was this guy? Why did Feng always want to see him? She had noticed that Qing Feng had feelings for Lin Feng. Was she trying to find another boyfriend, just to not get married to a member of the Fire Shrine? Last time, he had defeated people from the Fire Shrine fine, but now? She still wanted to see him. "Miss Qing Feng, Miss Jing," Lin Feng smiled. "The Void Phoenix clan lied, and said you didn't want to see me. Luckily, I didn't believe them, so I took the liberty to call you." "It doesn't matter. I didn't know you were here. What's up?" asked Qing Feng patiently. She was pretending to look indifferent, of course. "Nothing much. I was happy to meet you last time. Would you like to go for a walk?" "Feng, forget it," said Jing. She didn't like this guy. He didn't seem like a good person to her. But Qing Feng nodded and said, "All right." Jing was astonished and could only smile wryly. What was Feng thinking? "Great, come up," Lin Feng smiled. Jing and Qing Feng jumped smoothly onto the demon dragon. Lin Feng glanced at the crowd from the Void Phoenix clan and said coldly, "You're all liars." Then, he turned around, and the dragon rose up into the air again. But someone shouted, "Your Excellency, please wait." "What do you want now?" replied Lin Feng, turning his head. "Your Excellency, don't you care about deteriorating the relations between your clan and the Void Phoenix clan? You'll cause trouble to both clans this way," said that person to Lin Feng smoothly. He had thought that Lin Feng was trying to establish connections between the World Clan and the Void Phoenix clan. It was understandable though. Lin Feng understood. He smiled and said, "You overestimate the position the Void Phoenix clan has in my heart." Then he smiled sinisterly, and the demon dragon continued rising up in the air. The strong cultivators of the Void Phoenix clan were stunned. That guy looked so evil, but he was incredible too. He was arrogant, but his arrogance wasn't baseless. Nobody could prevent Jing and Qing Feng from leaving with him, but the news that they had left with Daimon quickly spread through the Void Phoenix clan, especially higher up in the hierarchy. That way, the news would also reach the Fire Shrine. Of course, many people were not happy about it at all. In a fiery tower in the Fire Shrine, some people were gazing into the distance. Hua Xingzi and Huashang were there too. "I've heard that Qing Feng left with that guy from the World Clan," said a young man next to Huashang and Hua Xingzi. Hua Xingzi was stupefied. He couldn't do much about it. "Brother Huashang, is Daimon strong?" asked the young man, as he slowly turned around. "Very strong. I can't defeat him," said Huashang calmly. Even though he had lost against Daimon, and it was humiliating, he was brave enough to speak the truth. "All right," the young man nodded. He asked, "The one you chose in the Fire Shrine was me?" "We don't know yet. Hua Xingzi was a possibility, and on the other side, we can change that if you wish. You can be the one too," replied Huashang. "The person has to be very important to the Fire Shrine, but changing the person isn't a problem anyway. They won't say anything if we do. We just can't disappoint anyone." On their side, Qing Feng is a good choice. "Let's get ready and go to the Void Phoenix clan," said the young man calmly. Huashang smiled thinly. They needed someone important indeed. They had to make those people understand that the Fire Shrine didn't have an undeserved reputation. "I'll organize everything," said Huashang, before leaving with Hua Xingzi. After they left, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man appeared behind the young man. Actually, he had been standing there the whole time, but it was as if he didn't exist. Even Hua Xingzi and Huashang hadn't paid attention to him. The middle-aged said, "Huashang is using you." "I know," said the young man. "At least, he's using me to earn such a position in the Fire Shrine." "You look more and more like him," said the middle-aged man, smiling and leaning against a wall. The young man was startled, and seemed to care a lot as he asked, "In what way?" "He's always been like that. Nobody can make him do anything. He only does what he wants." The young man shook his head. "Not really, but I am not that free." "You will be sooner or later," stated the middle-aged man firmly. "Thank you for your support," said the young man. He seemed pensive. By him, the middle-aged man meant that young man's idol. Geniuses all had idols. Hua Xingzi and Huashang were core disciples in the Fire Shrine, and they had very important positions. They also represented the Fire Shrine outside. They were very talented, they progressed quickly on the path of cultivation, and they had incredible fighting abilities. However, in the shrine, there were even more talented geniuses, more important than them. For example, Huashang was considered as a core disciple of the Fire Shrine, but there were other people who were considered the soul of the shrines, and they called the shots. On that very day, the Void Phoenix clan received the members of the Fire Shrine with the best ceremony possible. In his courtyard, when the middle-aged man heard that they were coming, he smiled and said, "Great. That mad one is really coming." At the same time, some chi appeared in the sky. A beautiful woman appeared and said coldly, "Who are you going to force Qing Feng to get married to?" The middle-aged man raised his head and remained silent. The woman said, "Tell me." The middle-aged man finally smiled and said, "Force? I never forced anyone." She agreed herself. "And you know with whom?" So you agreed to say you organized all this, said the woman coldly. First impressions are strongest. Stick to them, smiled the middle-aged man. They should be here now. The clan told me you should go and welcome them since you're Qing Feng's mother. Bastard. Qing Feng is not going to get married to him. You want her to end up in a pit of hell. You think your daughter is not good enough for him? The middle-aged man smiled. The woman was speechless. Finally she turned around and left. Qing Feng didn't know what was going on there. She was with Lin Feng, and they were chatting in a restaurant. Lin Feng and Qing Feng looked very close already. Jing was speechless. She didn't understand what was going on. Jing's facial expression suddenly changed. Qing Feng, the clan is calling us, we have to go back. I won't go, replied Qing Feng indifferently. It's the Phoenix blood talisman. It must be very important, we have to go back, or the consequences will be dramatic, insisted Jing. Qing Feng looked surprised and said to Jing, the Phoenix blood talisman? Indeed. The Void Phoenix clan uses it for the most serious orders, said Jing nodded. Qing Feng's eyes glittered. She said to Lin Feng, wait for me here. I will come back afterwards. All right, Lin Feng agreed. He didn't know what was going on in the Void Phoenix clan, but letting Qing Feng go back probably wasn't an issue. Chapter 23:14. Paying a visit to the fire shrine. Qing Feng and Jing went back. They realized that many strong cultivators had gathered in a main hall, including important people from many clans. That palace was the most imposing and magnificent, used for extraordinary ceremonies. There were phoenix statues and carvings everywhere. They looked almost alive as they kept moving. It was the first time Qing Feng had been there, so Jing led the way. There was a huge crowd seated there, and a banquet table, but nobody helping themselves. They were just chatting. When the crowd saw Qing Feng and Jing arrive, they all suddenly turned around and stared at Qing Feng. Qing Feng, come here and have a seat, said the organizer of the banquet, an old man. He smiled at Qing Feng gently. Qing Feng had never seen him before, but he smiled at her as if they were close to one another. He even looked very kind, but that precisely made Qing Feng grow cold. It was difficult to explain how she felt with words. An old man who had an extraordinarily high position within the Void Phoenix clan was being extremely kind to her. What was the reason? Qing Feng didn't feel honored at all. Qing Feng, that's the greatest elder of the Void Phoenix clan, Saint Xiang. He's an extraordinary living being. Next to him is the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, Jing told Qing Feng. Qing Feng was astonished. She said indifferently, I'll just sit on the ground. Saint Xiang nodded and smiled. If you prefer, no problem. Seats are a trivial matter. Qing Feng and Jing sat down on the ground and heard Saint Xiang say, Qing Feng, this is Qiong Haiya. Qiong. Jing frowned and her beautiful eyes glittered. Someone whose family name is Qiong is from the fire shrine. Jing looked at Qing Feng. Qing Feng looked calm and serene. Hadn't she heard? Or didn't she know who the Qiongs were in the fire shrine? Qiong Haiya just glanced at Qing Feng and smiled at her calmly. He raised his cup of tea and had a few sips. He continued watching Qing Feng after that. She frowned. He wasn't very polite, so she just grunted coldly. The hearts of the members of the Void Phoenix clan started pounding furiously when they heard Qing Feng. But Qiong Haiya smiled easily. I like that kind of personality. He sounded quite composed. Saint Xiang smiled. Haiya, if you like Qing Feng, that is great, especially since you're going to spend the rest of your lives together. Qing Feng is so lucky, smiled a strong cultivator of the Void Phoenix clan. It sounded like Qing Feng was goods to be sold. What is that supposed to mean? Said Qing Feng, frowning icily. Qing Feng, Qiong Haiya is your future husband. Be good to him, said Saint Xiang, smiling gently. Qing Feng was astonished when she realized what was going on. The Void Phoenix clan wanted her to marry him. Actually, it wasn't the idea of the Void Phoenix clan. It was the idea of the fire shrine. No, said Qing Feng, suddenly standing up. Her expression changed drastically. She was furious. Qing Feng, said Jing. Her face stiffened. They weren't in their own courtyard here. And her mother wasn't there. The greatest cultivators of the clan were here. Qingfeng couldn't be rude. The consequences would be disastrous. As expected, Saint Xiang frowned. A terrifying strength surrounded Qingfeng. She could barely breathe. Take her down. She doesn't understand anything. Hiya, I hope you don't mind, said Saint Xiang, waving his hands. Instantly, some people threw themselves at Qingfeng. Qingfeng wanted to say something, but some people grabbed her and took her away. Xiong Hiya remained composed, even expressionless. Hiya, we can discuss the wedding. Huoxing Zi Jing, you can prepare things together, said Saint Xiang, smiling calmly. Initially, he didn't intend to get involved in Jing's wedding, but now he did. All right. Good, said Xiong Hiya, smiling and nodding. Jing's expression turned deathly pale. When Qingfeng had been taken away, she hadn't reacted because she knew it was useless. She couldn't do anything. Lin Feng waited for Qingfeng for a very long time. He used his godly awareness to contact her, and she didn't reply. Lin Feng's heart twitched. The Void Phoenix clan probably prevented her from doing anything. Otherwise, she would have replied instantly. Qingfeng might be imprisoned and oppressed. They could also prevent her from receiving messages using godly awareness. She was probably isolated from the outside world. Little boy, let's go back, said Lin Feng, petting the dragon's head. They didn't go to the Void Phoenix clan. He could imagine what was happening. The dragon rumbled and took Lin Feng away. As they flew above the clouds, the dragon rumbled more, telling Lin Feng something. You're telling me we should go to the supreme animal world? They can help me? Lin Feng understood what the dragon said. He was surprised but demurred. No need. I can solve the problem myself. But the problem is not the Void Phoenix clan, it's the Fire Shrine. They're waiting for me. Fire Shrine. The dragon didn't understand what Lin Feng meant. Lin Feng gazed into the distance. At the same time, the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine left the Void Phoenix clan. Xiong Hiya gazed into the distance, in the direction of the World Clan. He smiled provokingly. The Fire Shrine had been humiliated twice. Now it was time to show everyone that nobody wanted to humiliate them. Daimon and the World Clan had to learn that too. Xiong Hiya really wanted to see how strong Daimon was. Why is he so arrogant? Lin Feng returned to the World Clan and went to a courtyard. There was an old man from the World Clan there. When he saw the demon dragon, he rose up into the air and greeted him. Lin Feng, how come you have sought me out? You probably understand how strong the army of the World Clan is. And you probably understand how strong my army is. In your opinion, are we strong enough to fight against the Void Phoenix clan? Lin Feng asked calmly. The old man frowned and replied, resisting them isn't a problem. But the Void Phoenix clan is a holy sage ruler clan. They have existed for a very long time. Unless it's necessary, we don't need to be enemies with them, the old man answered. Of course, it's just a suggestion. If you think otherwise, I don't mind. I don't think we need to fight against them either. I just asked randomly. Help me transmit a message. Say that Daimon wants to go to the Fire Shrine to apologize. And he wants to pay a visit to the Fire Shrine in the name of the World Clan, said Lin Feng. The old man frowned. How insane! This madman wants to pay a visit to the Fire Shrine. Chapter 23:15. Godly Fire Shield. The news that the World Clan wanted to pay a visit to the Fire Shrine spread quickly. Many people paid attention to it. The Fire Shrine had been humiliated, and were going through difficult times. Now the World Clan had suddenly reappeared in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, and they had a terrifying young disciple, Daimon. He was extremely strong, and had easily defeated Huoshang. That could be a problem for the Fire Shrine. The meeting point they agreed on was Ruined City, an ancient city full of ruins on fire. There weren't many ancient cities in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, and it was one of them. It was said that in the ancient past, a person of unusual ability called Qiong Shao had set the city on fire with a magic hellfire and slaughtered millions of people like that. He then created some holy sage ruler clans and had helped the Fire Shrine become extremely strong. The city was perfect for fire cultivators, and many people still went there to practice fire cultivation. The flames there never went out. Everybody knew the legends about Ruined City. The fire shrine proposed Ruined City for their meeting with the World Clan on purpose. Many people thought the fire shrine wouldn't go through the same thing as last time. The demon shrine had agreed to meet with Mo Zheng on their battle stage, but they hadn't gained face. On the contrary, they had lost face. As a result, Mo Zheng was becoming famous in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. The shrines were like gods in this world. Each time they did something, everybody paid attention to them. Many people thought that the World Clan was brave. Did they really want to apologize? If that was the case, why would the fire shrine have chosen Ruined City to meet them? Many strong cultivators who learned about this headed off to Ruined City. Ruined City was filled with ruins and fire, so there weren't many people there normally. But this time many people had gathered, staying high up in the sky because they didn't want to get hurt. There were random explosions all the time here. Of course, some extremely strong cultivators also walked on the ground in the middle of the ruins in flames. Those people are extremely strong. They must all be celestial emperors at least. Even though Ruined City's flames aren't as terrifying as in the past, they're still deadly. Even some saint emperors could die here, especially when there are random explosions. Quipped a strong cultivator in the sky. The city was dangerous, everybody knew it. Ordinary people can't come here. Those who come must be at least celestial emperors. But look over there, there's a clan, they live here, said someone, pointing at a nearby fire mountain at that moment. There was a small city at its foot, and a clan was living there. Those clans are fire clans. They're very dangerous. They keep absorbing fire to become stronger. They've lived here for a very long time. They're really dangerous. People didn't know much about the clans that lived in Ruined City. In the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, cities were gigantic. Even though Ruined City was filled with ruins, there were still some people who lived there, but nobody paid attention to them. How hot! The temperature is increasing. Those people the fire shrine will send are among the strongest of the shrine, I would guess. They decided to meet the members of the World Clan here, to make things difficult for them, remarked someone. Finally, they saw some people appear in the distance. They were on the ground and looked like fire spirits, and were holding terrifying fire shields. There were ancient patterns on them, absorbing the flames around them. Back then when Qiong Xiao fought in that great war, he had a fire shield. It was terrifying. And now the fire shrine sent such terrifying people. It's going to be difficult for the World Clan, thought the crowd staring at the crowd on the ground. Who are those in the middle? They look quite imposing. Asked someone. There was a young man with a shield there. Qiong Haya, whispered someone, gazing into the distance. In the outside world, Qiong Haya wasn't as famous as Huashang. Many people had never even heard about him. Only a few extremely strong and important people from various clans knew about him. People who knew were always astonished when they met someone whose name was Qiong. Many people from different shrines had arrived. They were in the sky, and when they saw the force on the ground, they were astonished. The fire shrine really wanted to regain face. Even Qiong Haya was there. Huashang was also in the middle of the crowd, and holding a fire shield too. The fire shrine's shield's a very powerful shield technique. It's almost unbreakable. How is the World Clan going to come in? Wondered the members of the shrines. If they didn't manage to break through, then it meant they weren't qualified to meet them. If the World Clan came, they'd just humiliate themselves. At that moment bestial chi rose to the skies. An eagle dove down, his body so big that he blotted out the sky. He didn't care about the flames. Small black blades emerged from his mouth and descended from the sky. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine moved too. The patterns on the fire shields changed, and suddenly a gigantic illusionary field appeared. The bestial energies could easily destroy mountains, but the shield blocked all his attacks. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine condensed all their strength in that shield, and suddenly it started spitting out flames which filled the air. The beast roared furiously and rose back up in the air, furious as it started burning. As expected, the fire shrine doesn't intend to let anyone come to the ground, sighed the crowd when they saw that. Huashang was a genius of the fire shrine, and he was in the crowd, protecting it too. The fire shrine had chosen Ruined City, because they could use the shield Qiong Xiao had used back then. They wanted people to remember Qiong Xiao in them. How strong. Saint Emperors can't even break through the shield, the crowd mused. Even though they weren't participating, they could imagine how terrifying that shield was. Since the World Clan is here, come out, all of you, no need to hide, said one of the protectors at that moment. The crowd was surprised. The World Clan was already there? Cyan lights twinkled. Many silhouettes appeared around the battlefield, coming out of nowhere, surrounded by mysterious world lights. They came out of the flames of ruined city. It was difficult to imagine. The World Clan likes to hide. They've been hiding for such a long time, said someone mockingly. We just came to apologize, and you made us come here, and you brought such an army. You really overestimate the World Clan, said an old man, smiling as he stared at the members of the fire shrine. We don't really care about your apologies. How many people did you bring? To pay us a visit, you need to prove you're qualified, said the strong cultivator of the fire shrine. If the World Clan wanted to pay them a visit, they first had to break the shield. Chapter 23:16. Illusion deployment spell outside of the protected area. The silhouettes became real. The strong cultivators of the World Clan had officially arrived now. How strong? How powerful is the World Clan now? The watching crowd wondered. But even that way they won't be able to break through. That fire shield is incredible, both in terms of defense and offense. Since it's that way, even though we're very weak, if you want to show us how powerful the fire shield is, we'll have to give it a try, said the old man of the World Clan calmly. Reality began to undulate. The strong cultivators of the World Clan were using godly awareness to communicate. World Gate, said someone coldly. Dazzling world lights moved towards the sky and condensed. Instantly, Qi started being corroded. A dazzling world gate appeared and absorbed strength. Go! The strong cultivators of the World Clan joined hands to attack. The gate moved towards the strong cultivators of the fire shrine and surrounded them while people shouted furiously. Their fire started being absorbed. The illusionary world door surrounded them. Their silhouettes became illusionary, it as if they could disappear anytime. Protect, said a strong cultivator of the fire shrine at that moment. The fire shield appeared in front of that strong cultivator and blocked the world lights. Teleportation, said someone coldly. The atmosphere warped. The fire shrine's strong cultivator was being drawn towards the gate. The crowd was astonished. The attack of the World Clan's strong cultivators was astonishing. World strength was mysterious and powerful. No wonder they were strong. Godly body connection defense, said the strong cultivators of the fire shrine coldly. Dazzling fire lights appeared and suddenly, it was like the strong cultivators of the fire shrine were connected. A terrifying fire shield appeared and surrounded all of them. The world lights couldn't pierce through anymore. Incredible defense, how terrifying. It's as hard as diamond. I had never thought I would ever have the opportunity to see the fire shield of the fire shrine in my life, and especially used by Saint Emperors. How incredible. Die, said someone aggressively and furiously. Fireballs streaked across the sky and turned into greedy and hungry fire beasts. World lights condensed. The strong cultivators of the World Clan became illusionary and disappeared. The fire struck nothing but air. Attack, said a strong cultivator of the World Clan. They gathered and moved in the same direction. They needed to find an angle which they'd be able to pierce through. The energies gathering were oppressive. World strength filled the air. But the fire shrine cultivators didn't change. They had faith in their fire shield. It couldn't be broken. It was flawless. Break, said someone. World strength descended from the sky everywhere. Godly lacerating shield. Hard shields appeared above the fire shriners and rose into the air. They turned into a vortex of sharp strength that seemed able to cut apart anything. The world strength started breaking apart, but continued moving down towards the strong cultivators under the shield. It seemed unbreakable. Clear shattering sounds arose. The godly shield started cracking. There were explosions as the world strength assaulted it. At the same time, it continued spitting out terrifying flames and destroying the world strength. When all the energies vanished, the fire shrine's strong cultivators were still holding the shield up. The strong cultivators of the World Clan were astonished. The shield seemed unbreakable. It seemed as hard as diamond. The Fire Shrine's strong cultivators borrowed shield strength, and were all connected together. The World Clan was very strong as expected. They were starting to pierce through that incredible defense, said a strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine. He sounded proud and arrogant. They didn't attack, they just defended. They had hoped the World Clan wouldn't be able to break through at all. Xionghaye stood there calmly, as if all this had nothing to do with him. If the World Clan cannot break the shield thoroughly, we'll start attacking, said Xionghaye calmly. At that moment, in the distance, a silhouette appeared indistinctly in the flames. Is someone there? Surprisingly, that person is walking in the flames. How strong. It's him. Daimon. There are people behind him too. The crowd finally noticed Lin Feng. Many people frowned. Walking slowly in the middle of ruined city's flames was extraordinary. What's that? A demon dragon? The crowd noticed a gigantic creature next to Lin Feng. It looked like a demon dragon was following Lin Feng. They were getting closer and closer, so the crowd could see them more distinctly. Xionghaye looked at Lin Feng startled. He was there. Daimon, who had defeated Huashang from the Fire Shrine easily? That Daimon was probably a leader in the clan just below the saints. I heard that last time. Daimon went to the Void Phoenix clan on a dragon. The rumors were true. A demon dragon of the supreme animal world is following Daimon. The crowd gasped. Lin Feng and the demon dragon arrived in front of the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine and looked at the shield. That kind of shield couldn't be broken with powerful attacks. Only saints could break it. Since the shield was made of many shields, they had to attack them one by one and prevent them from being harmonized. The members of the Fire Shrine remained calm and looked at Daimon and his dragon. We initially wanted to come to apologize and pay a visit to the members of the Fire Shrine. In the end, you sent such a powerful army, and we're meeting far away from your territory. Why? Lin Feng asked Xionghaye calmly. Not anyone can come to the Fire Shrine, especially to pay us a visit, replied Xionghaye indifferently. They both put on an air of extreme arrogance. All right, said Lin Feng nodding. He said, since you don't want to be friends with the World Clan, I'll have to solve the issue myself. Everybody protect me from the sides, ordered Lin Feng calmly. The strong cultivators of the World Clan landed at Lin Feng's sides instantly. Lin Feng walked forwards. He didn't release a terrifying chi. He looked calm and serene. He looked at all the members of the Fire Shrine and noticed Huashang. Daimon from the World Clan. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to study your shield, said Lin Feng calmly. He said to all the members of the World Clan using telepathy, break the connections they have established between them. The strong cultivators of the World Clan released World Strength, which moved straight towards Huashang. The World Strength started isolating Huashang from the rest of them. However, the shield was still there. Huashang continued holding his shield too. You're afraid of me, said Lin Feng, smiling casually. Huashang was stunned and staring at Lin Feng. You have the godly shield. Why are you afraid of me? And you're considered as a genius of the Fire Shrine. You're not very self-confident, said Lin Feng, looking sad, as if he had pity for Huashang. Lin Feng sighed for him. Protect, said the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine coldly. A gigantic shield appeared in front of Huashang. It's useless. You're not persistent, you're not determined. You're so weak. Even if someone protects you, it's just like the cover of a book protecting the pages. You can easily tear it off, said Lin Feng calmly. Huashang's consciousness became dimly discernible. It was as if Lin Feng and Huashang were the only ones left around, and only Huashang could hear Lin Feng's voice. That's my world strength. You're isolated from the rest of the world now. We are together. Do you think your shield can still protect you like that? Lin Feng sounded calm and sure. Huashang frowned. Impossible. It was an illusion. You're using an illusion technique. Even if you brought me here, I'm still with the others in the outside world. You can attack my will, but not my body, said Huashang, trying to keep calm. You're too naive. Nobody can break free from my world strength, said Lin Feng easily. Look carefully. He waved his hands and world strength rose up in the air, surrounding Huashang. He pulled a long face. He was isolated from the others. Attack, said Huashang coldly. Suddenly fire strength struck out all around him. However, the strong cultivators around Lin Feng created world strength around them, and the fire ended up in those doors. The attack didn't affect Lin Feng at all. Therefore, in Huashang's consciousness, the attack didn't work either. I told you, I can easily isolate you guys, said Lin Feng calmly. He threw himself at Huashang and attacked. Huashang's face changed. He remembered how strong Lin Feng was and suddenly retreated. Chapter 23:17. Killing a strong cultivator of the shrine. Huashang moved back, and a gap appeared in the shield. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine were astonished and shouted, Huashang! Huashang was astonished. He kept moving back, but Lin Feng continued moving towards him and smiling evilly. It's an illusion. He just wants to scare me and make me move back, thought Huashang. Lin Feng moved towards him. The strong cultivators of the World Clan were protecting him and absorbing Huashang's strength. There was an explosion. Lin Feng punched a strong cultivator in front of him through the hole. The attack was dreadful, as Lin Feng's physical strength was astonishing. His god Dao turned into a golden heaven and earth qi, which pressed forwards with indomitable will. Blinding lights kept flashing. The strong cultivator of the fire shrine sensed the ominously heavy force. It was a heavy blow. He released fire strength and raised his shield. The terrifying strength crashed onto the shield, the air trembled. The strong cultivator was pushed back a few steps. He groaned with pain and his shield cracked. Attack! Shouted Lin Feng. The strong cultivators of the World Clan used world strength. World gates appeared, and the atmosphere was even more distorted. A few people were absorbed by the gates. They appeared somewhere else, and their battle array became chaotic. The demon dragon roared furiously and jumped into the crowd. He swept out with his tail. Even though the demon dragon wasn't very strong, he was strong enough to cause chaos in the enemy's battle array. The strong cultivators of the World Clan didn't want the strong cultivators of the fire shrine to recreate their shield. Now that there was a hole, they had to take advantage of it. Lin Feng moved like the wind. He threw himself at someone else, releasing world strength. That person had the impression he had landed in another world. Lin Feng then released a god sword. Fire exploded around. The fire energies turned into an ocean of flames. Everything burned even more violently all around them. However, the ocean of fire began to distort, and the strong cultivator's face stiffened. His cosmic energies became chaotic. He was astonished world strength could do that. This is my world, said Lin Feng, slowly walking towards him. Sword lights appeared all around him. They contained pitch-black death strength. You! That person was astonished and shouted, You're not from the World Clan. But the attack was already moving towards him. He retreated, but Lin Feng was faster. He condensed more and more death strength and death stamps. That cultivator's face turned deathly pale. He said, Death Dao. You're not Daimon from the World Clan, you're Lin Feng. Death oppression, shouted Lin Feng furiously. Death was everywhere. That cultivator's face became even paler as the oppressive attack surrounded him. He had the impression a death world was crushing him. His face gradually turned pitch black. His life was being corroded away. Die! God's strength penetrated into his body. He was furious, his body suddenly became gigantic. He turned into a fire giant, he was bathing in flames. Even if you're angry, you're still going to die, said Lin Feng coldly. He continued running towards his enemy. A terrifying and aggressive chi dashed to the skies and surged towards the fire giant. He started destroying his opponent's Dao will. The man roared furiously, he didn't want to die. Lin Feng dared try to kill a Saint Emperor of the fire shrine. In the outside world, the crowd noticed that Lin Feng and the Saint Emperor had disappeared in world lights. Nobody knew what was going on in there. Void-breaking vision, said a strong cultivator of the empty space shrine. His eyes became dazzling, and he looked at the world strength which surrounded Lin Feng and his opponent. He was astonished and said, I can't see through it. What kind of strength is that world strength? Does that daimon have a world king body? You can't see them? Many people around were astonished. The void-breaking vision could see through almost anything. Surprisingly, he couldn't see through that world strength. Yes, it seems empty inside, there's nothing. It's clearly not possible, whispered the strong cultivator. The crowd frowned. Daimon was really too strong. Even the void-breaking vision couldn't see through his world strength. A terrifying explosive strength rent the air with thunder and fire. The world strength broke apart. Lin Feng reappeared and groaned. There was blood on his clothes. At the same time, a terrifying fire strength appeared in the sky and gradually vanished. A shield fell down from the sky. People's hearts started pounding violently. Where was the strong cultivator who was fighting against Lin Feng? Was he dead? Many people were staring at Lin Feng, including Qiong Haiya. The members of the World Clan had killed a strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine? The World Clan dared act that arrogantly? Turning into an explosive fire, Dao to explode and kill me at the cost of his life? What is that supposed to mean? Why does the Fire Shrine hate me like that? Why are you doing this? Said Lin Feng indifferently. The crowd frowned. Turning into explosive Dao as a sacrifice to kill Daimon? The fire strength which filled the air was indeed fire Dao. But even if the enemy had done that, it meant that Lin Feng had forced him to. Nobody was ready to sacrifice themselves to die and kill an adversary. You killed a member of the Fire Shrine? Said Qiong Haiya, staring at Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng looked at him and said, We came to apologize. Why did you prepare all this? That's not what I had expected at all. However, a moment ago, even though he killed himself, it's also because of me indirectly. Maybe he was too weak, so when he sensed my strength, he got scared and thought it could kill him. In order not to tarnish the reputation of the Fire Shrine, he decided to kill himself and died. When the crowd heard him, they were speechless. What he was saying had many implications. The strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine was too weak and couldn't withstand a single attack, so he killed himself. Daimon hadn't killed him himself. The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine had provoked him and didn't mind dying, so they couldn't blame him. He was too weak, so he deserved to die indeed. If you're too weak, you deserve to die too, of course, said Qiong Haiya calmly. But he was also threatening Lin Feng. Even though the Fire Shrine is extremely strong, if we decide to battle to death, I don't mind dying, replied Lin Feng calmly. The crowd was astonished. Daimon dared say that to Qiong Haiya. It meant that now they couldn't blame him anymore for that strong cultivator's death, even if he had killed him. Very good, said Qiong Haiya coldly. Dazzling fire swords appeared around him. His family name is Qiong, how strong is he? The crowd was staring at him. People whose family name was Qiong in the Fire Shrine were among the strongest cultivators of the Fire Shrine. They had held power and influence in the Fire Shrine for such a long time. People from the other shrines were also staring at Qiong Haiya. He rarely showed up outside. They were curious to see how strong he was and what his fighting abilities were. If they saw how strong he was, they would be able to imagine how strong the Qiongs were. Qiong Haiya flashed forwards, the fire swords behind him turning into suns. The fireballs were like small suns and could burn anything. There were 9 sun swords around him before they oriented on Lin Feng. However, he didn't stop there. Qiong Haiya flashed forwards, and after that, 9 ice-cold moons also appeared. The crowd started trembling. Extreme cold and heat together made them shake. It was extremely unpleasant. Sunfire. They were astonished. In Ruined City, apart from a scorching hot sunfire, there was also ice-cold moon coldness. Qiong Xiao, who had created the city, probably controlled 2 sorts of strength. Lin Feng looked at the 9 suns and 9 moons. It reminded him of his cosmos burning sun technique back in the days. Qiong Haiya was really strong. The 18 swords condensed together and turned into sun and moon patterns. Fire surged out. 2 sorts of intent surrounded Lin Feng. Many strong cultivators took steps backwards. Chapter 23:18. Suddenly leaving the scorching hot chi contained ice-cold energy too. Everybody understood that it was Qiong Haiya's Dao. The strong cultivators of the World Clan and the Fire Shrine moved away to give space to Lin Feng and Qiong Haiya. Lin Feng looked calm and indifferent. However, he was a bit surprised on the inside. Xionghaye was probably a true core disciple of the Fire Shrine. The World Clan is back in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. I'm surprised that they chose to oppose the Fire Shrine, said Xionghaye indifferently. Xionghaye was right actually. Previously, when Mo Zheng and Mo Fu had agreed to have a battle, the World Clan had reappeared in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, and they hadn't chosen to confront anyone else. Yet they immediately provoked the Fire Shrine. The Fire Shrine wasn't very happy about it. Therefore, we'll see how long the World Clan will survive in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, said Xionghaye. He didn't look nervous at all. Huashang was staring at Xionghaye in surprise. Xionghaye looked like a conquering hero. At his cultivation level, people were ever more dangerous, but they also grew more and more introverted. Xionghaye stretched out his hand, and the sun and moon patterns suddenly moved towards Lin Feng. They looked extremely sharp, both hot and cold. Lin Feng sensed the heat and coldness. That kind of strength was much more powerful than pure cold or pure heat. The moon and sun swords arrived. Lin Feng released an incredible amount of deployment lights, which turned into walls. However, the moon and sun swords pierced through them. Lin Feng waved his hands and empty space cosmic energies filled the air. Beasts ran forwards and roared furiously, carrying the swords away. The World Clan's strong cultivators' world strength is terrifying. They can even use empty space strength to enhance their world strength, the watching crowd analyzed. Xionghaye groaned coldly. He jumped to the clouds, and a gigantic sword which seemed to come from the skies appeared, his sun and moon energies dazzling to the eyes. 2 tornadoes made of fire appeared. It didn't look like a sword attack anymore, but an ocean of fire. Lin Feng looked at the sky, slowly walking forwards. His terrifying cosmic energies turned into empty space strength. A gigantic hand rose up into the air and grabbed the sword. A strong wind made of empty space strength roared furiously. Xionghaye looked surprised, but just smiled coldly, and disappeared from where he was. After a few seconds, the sun and moon strength penetrated into Lin Feng's body, with a formidable Dao strength. Lin Feng released God's strength inside of his body, and started destroying his opponent's Dao strength. A light emerged from Lin Feng's body, and shot towards the finger Haye had used to release that attack. Lin Feng ignored everything else. He just focused on that finger. The fire surrounded Lin Feng. His soul was shaking, facing the end of its time. How strong, murmured the crowd. There was saint's strength in that attack, as if it had been a saint's finger. Die, said Xionghaye to Lin Feng. His finger thrust towards Lin Feng's third eye, but a terrifying strength moved towards Xionghaye and penetrated into his body. Lin Feng condensed more strength and raised his fist, punching out a fist filled with God's strength. You're too naive, said Lin Feng indifferently. There was an explosion. Lin Feng was now in the ocean of flames and coldness. It was a challenge for his soul. Lin Feng liked it. Xionghaye was smashed backwards, his finger trembling. It looked broken and painful. The strength assaulting the inside of his body was terrifying. Xionghaye groaned coldly, staring at Lin Feng. He started moving again, and released fireballs at Lin Feng. This time, a terrifying cosmos burning hand imprint appeared, burning the air around it. The gigantic hand came down on Lin Feng. Lin Feng moved again. A gigantic sword appeared and started destroying the hand. Dazzling empty space lights appeared and tore the gigantic hand apart. Lin Feng smiled coldly and said, "Today, we came to pay a visit to the Fire Shrine, but the Fire Shrine doesn't like us and despises us. The World Clan doesn't need to stay here. Let's go." All the strong cultivators of the World Clan released world strength quickly. Their silhouettes flickered, and they were gone. What a mysterious world strength. The World Clan's world strength is better than wind or empty space strength to travel. How ominous, the crowd murmured. Lin Feng withdrew and gradually disappeared from Xionghaye's field of vision. "It's not over, you can't leave," said Xionghaye coldly. He ran towards Lin Feng and his demon dragon. "We're not leaving the region. We'll meet again," replied Lin Feng indifferently. The demon dragon took him away into the vast ocean of flames of ruined city. "Chase him," said Xionghaye coldly. Instantly, The strong cultivators of the fire shrine started flying after them into the ocean of flames. However, Lin Feng had disappeared inside. There was a pained scream, and a strong cultivator came out of the flames. His lower body had disappeared and blood was dripping out. He looked wretched and miserable as he cried out sadly. He had almost died. A silhouette suddenly appeared next to him. Qianghaya asked, "What's going on?" He wasn't gone. There was hidden world strength in there. "He's still in there, I think," said the strong cultivator, pointing at the ground. His face was deathly pale, and blood kept dripping from his missing limbs. But Lin Feng's chi had already disappeared. Qianghaya looked furious. "Next time, we'll exchange views on cultivation again with the fire shrine." Lin Feng's voice came from the distance. All the strong cultivators of the fire shrine gathered around Qianghaya and looked at him. Qianghaya pulled a long face. He had chosen this place to help the fire shrine regain face. And once again they had failed. Lin Feng kept provoking them. He had even killed one of their saint emperors. In the end, he had just left. They hadn't even managed to get through in one piece. Of course, many people had also seen how strong the Qiong family of the fire shrine was. Qianghaya wasn't a stranger anymore in the region. He was going to be famous. How many people like him did the shrines have? Initially, Lin Feng wanted to pay a visit to the fire shrine. He hadn't thought things would be this dramatic. He hadn't thought they would need to fight. After all, the World Clan wasn't strong enough to fight against the fire shrine for real. He had appeared in the name of the World Clan and couldn't display his real strength, or people would recognize his style. What he had done today was enough. Amo roared his displeasure. Lin Feng was on his back and smiled. "I think that Qianghaya might be the one who wants to get married with Qing Feng. It should be true if they used the Phoenix Blood Talisman to contact her. The Qiangs must be famous in the fire shrine. We will definitely meet again." Chapter 23:19. People from everywhere. The World Clan and the fire shrine had battled. The Void Phoenix clan had seen it, and they felt very unhappy. Daimon was incredibly strong and sinister. However, he didn't know how to appreciate people's kindness. Surprisingly, he kept provoking the fire shrine. After all, Qianghaya and Qingfeng, as well as Huixingzi and Jing, were now supposed to be close to one another. The Void Phoenix clan treated them like they were part of the fire shrine. Of course, some people were really happy, especially the members of the other shrines. The fire shrine kept losing face. It was good for them, so they were gloating over the rivals' misfortune. After all, the shrines had existed for a very long time, but they were all competitors, not allies. If they had an opportunity, they would definitely finish off one another. It was especially true now that the Void Phoenix clan and the fire shrine were trying to push their relations to the next level. Of course, the other shrines, including the Fortune Shrine, also had such relations with other clans from the northwest area and other regions of the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. As soon as the shrines and people from other clans got married, it propelled their relations to the next level. Such connections existed everywhere in the region. The Buddha shrine was in the western part of the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, where the countless shrine used to be. They were one of the oldest shrines. They rarely tried to compete with the others. However, nobody dared underestimate them just because they didn't like fighting. There were ancient districts on the ground. In the ancient times, in the countless shrine, there used to be many Buddhist schools. It was a holy place for them. A few people were on the flight of stairs, their clothes torn apart. They had fought in a great battle. However, their chi was extremely powerful. A young Buddhist monk looked at the shrine and slowly walked up. He put his palms together, looking solemn and respectful. Up in the sky, golden lights flashed, and a Sakyamuni Buddha appeared. "Why did you come?" asked the Sakyamuni. "I came to get help on the path of Buddhism," declared the young Buddhist monk calmly. Some strong, dazzling golden Buddhas appeared around him. "What is Buddhism?" asked the golden Sakyamuni. "I've been studying Buddhism for a very long time, but I can't understand the true essence of Buddhism. That's why I came," replied the Buddhist monk in a sharp and clear voice. To ask for help on the path of Buddhism, You must go through 81 calamities. Can you endure that? Asked the golden Sakyamuni. The young Buddhist monk nodded calmly. All right, the first calamity, the death calamity, said the golden Sakyamuni coldly. A gigantic golden hand descended from the sky towards the young man. It was going to crush him. The young man put his palms together, and a gigantic ancient Buddha appeared. The gigantic Buddha hand and the ancient Buddha collided. Dazzling golden lights flashed. Why did you stop it? Asked the voice coldly. His chi oppressed the young man. I came to ask for help on the path of Buddhism. If I wanted to experience death, I could do it anywhere else, said the young man calmly. Besides, if I could understand Buddhism for real, I'd understand life and death even better, of course. After that, the Sakyamuni remained silent and disappeared. A Buddhist monk appeared at the top of the flight of stairs and asked, He's from the Fortune Shrine, why is he here? People from the Fortune Shrine believe in destiny, and the destiny technique said he would be better off in the Buddha Shrine. My shrine, the Fortune Shrine, is willing to exchange outstanding disciples with the Buddha Shrine. There is no interest conflict in being both a Buddhist and a member of the Fortune Shrine, said a young man next to him. He smiled and looked up at the sky. The Fortune Shrine controls the destiny technique. They can predict destiny relatively precisely. Since they say Buddhism is appropriate for him, it must be. We'll take him as a disciple, said the person at the top of the flight of stairs. He put his palms together and smiled. Thank you very much. The empty space shrine wants to kill him. However, now that he's also a disciple of the Buddha Shrine, they won't dare act insolently, replied the Fortune Shrine's strong cultivator with a smile. They both looked at the young man. Kong Ming, enjoy your time in the Buddha Shrine, we're off. Thank you, Master, Kong Ming said to the people who had taken him there. Kong Ming was now far away in the Buddha Shrine. In the sky, there were a strong cultivator, using their void-breaking vision to watch all that. When they saw it, they grimaced. I didn't think the Fortune Shrine would have such friends. They even dared put one of their great disciples in the Buddha Shrine. From now on, Kong Ming is a disciple of 2 shrines. It will be difficult now, said one of them slowly. He was annoyed. They had chased Kong Ming for a long time. Finally, the Fortune Shrine had put him in the Buddha Shrine. It was irritating. It's troublesome. The Buddha Shrine usually doesn't get involved in external affairs. But who knows? Maybe if we kill Kong Ming, that insane cultivator of the Buddha Shrine will go crazy, and we won't offend just one shrine. The most annoying part is that the Fortune Shrine put Chu Chun Xiu in the supreme animal world. They protect Lin Feng. And now they put Kong Ming in the Buddha Shrine. So he's the disciple of 2 shrines. It's difficult to know who the forbidden person is. They could all be. The Fortune Shrine attaches so much importance to the 3 of them. The members of Empty Space Shrine all spoke up. In the supreme animal world, the news that Chu Chun Xiu had been to one of the 7 forbidden territories spread throughout the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. In the continent of the 9 clouds, including the imperial court, only a few people dared go to those areas. Now Chu Chun Xiu from the Fortune Shrine was one of them. The forbidden territory of Ganji's time in the supreme animal world was one of the 7 forbidden territories. Of course, Chu Chun Xiu had only been to a clear area. He hadn't been into the depths of the forbidden area. But now Chu Chun Xiu was getting stronger and stronger, and could surprisingly go to the forbidden areas alone. Those forbidden areas had a very, very long history. They were considered hellish forbidden areas. People who came out were usually insane, and had lost their minds. Back in the days, a terrifying genius had gone to the supreme ancient pit of hell. He had gone there like a conquering hero, and he had come out completely insane. His only purpose in life had been to kill, and kill and kill. When people thought of this, they were terror-stricken. Chu Chun Xiu had been there. Only a few people had the ability to go there. Apart from Chu Chun Xiu, there was another genius of the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, who was in the supreme animal world. Zhou Rong Man was walking through the desert of the supreme animal world. He looked extremely strong. What the hell is this place? I'm so tired. Zhou Rong Man was sweating. He looked exhausted. He had been walking in that desert for a month, but he was still there. Was there no exit? He didn't know if he had been imprisoned, or if the desert was just too vast. Zhou Rongman laid down on the sand and looked at the sky. How could I be so unlucky? I have the strongest blood strength of the continent of the 9 clouds. People have been trying to kill me for a long time, and now I'm stuck in here. Are you old men trying to deceive me? He shouted, and his voice spread far away in the distance. At that moment Zhou Rongman frowned. He sensed something on his hand. He quickly shook it and looked at it. Blood dripped off. Zhou Rongman was stupefied. He was bleeding. What the? Zhou Rongman's heart started pounding. He gazed into the distance. He saw something sharp, like pincers, or claws like a hand. Gradually, a gigantic golden insect appeared. Zhou Rongman was astonished. But after that he looked enthusiastic and shouted, "I've finally found you. Come out. My name is Zhou Rongman." His voice caused sound waves to roll in waves. Blood kept dripping. The golden insect dug into the ground and tried to hide in the sands. A crater appeared in Zhou Rongman's field of vision. He was astonished. He had found the ones who had been chasing him. Chapter 2320. Invitation Letter. After his battle against Qiong Haiya, Lin Feng went back to the World Clan. He tried to contact Qing Feng, but it was useless. Qing Feng was isolated from the rest of the world. After that, Lin Feng learned that the one who had made the Void Phoenix clan call all their members using the Phoenix Blood Talisman the other day was Qiong Haiya. Now, Qiong Haiya went to the Void Phoenix clan. He wanted to finalize the marriage alliance with them. Lin Feng felt great pressure. Qiong Haiya wasn't Huixingzi. His name was Qiong. He had a very high social status in the Fire Shrine, and he couldn't contact Qing Feng. Daimon received an invitation letter. Lin Feng read the letter and was stupefied. "This material is extremely precious and durable," mused Lin Feng with a smile. He looked at the name of the sender. Mushanzi. That name contained a particular qi. Who's Mushanzi? Wondered Lin Feng. He had never heard the name, and he wasn't very familiar with the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. He hadn't lived here his entire life. There were people who had been here for millions of years already. It was nothing in comparison with those people. He didn't know Mushanzi. "I've checked. He's from the 1,000 Ancient Dust Mountains clan. He's also a strong cultivator of the dazzling gold shrine. 100 years ago, he became a saint emperor. His Tao is at the maximum level. He is at the top of the Shengdi layer. He hasn't shown up for a while, but many people think he's going to try and become a saint now. A saint emperor who has no enemy at the same level," mused Lin Feng. The expression, "who had no enemy at the same level," was extremely relative at such high levels, and in such places as the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. "Yes, he's among the strongest saint emperors of the imperial court. There aren't many people like him," said the strong cultivator next to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded. "So Mushanzi is at the top of the Shengdi layer. What about Qiong Haiya?" "Some people have different fighting abilities at that level. It depends whether their Tao has reached the maximum level or not. You, for example, your Tao is at the maximum level, so when you reach the top of the Shengdi layer, you'll be much stronger than many people. Therefore, to become a saint emperor who has no enemy at the same cultivation level, you also need to fight a lot. You need to fight people who are already cultivators with no enemy at the level of the Shengdi layer. From what I know, Qiong Haiya hasn't reached such a level yet." Qiong Haiya hasn't reached that level. Lin Feng's eyes glittered. The criteria to become a saint emperor who had no enemy at the same cultivation level was very high. But in any case, being a saint emperor was already great. They didn't have many enemies anymore. Mushanzi had reached the top of the Shengdi layer. "Why does he want to see me?" Lin Feng smiled. He invited Lin Feng to come to his dusky mountain. Many other strong cultivators were going to be there apparently. He had invited other people. "Even though you showed up only twice in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, you drew many people's attention. It's not surprising that he invited you," said the World Clan's strong cultivator. Lin Feng asked, "Do you know why he invited people?" "I think it's related to the forbidden territories," replied the old man. Lin Feng was surprised and glanced at him. The World Clan knew more than he had imagined. Had the World Clan's decision to come to the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds been sudden? Or did they have other motives? Lin Feng would understand soon enough. He was excited to progress on the path of cultivation. He had killed a Saint Emperor of the Fire Shrine in front of everybody the previous time. Many people had been amazed. Forbidden territory, whispered Lin Feng. He didn't know too much about the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, but he knew about the 7 forbidden territories. He had read books about them in the forbidden territory. He knew that Chu Chun Xiu had been to the animal world's forbidden territory. He was probably very strong already. If I go, I will probably see many cultivators of the top of the Shengdi layer, smiled Lin Feng. The old man nodded. Mu Shanzi sent that invitation letter to people who have the same social status. There will be many strong cultivators from shrines. There will also be people who are very core disciples too. If you go, you will see some extraordinary people. 10,000 Dusk Mountains Mu Shan, repeated Lin Feng. Then he nodded and said, I'll go. I can't wait to see you become a peerless cultivator. If you become a Saint Emperor, you'll become incredible, and such things won't be difficult for you anymore, sighed the old man. Lin Feng had nothing to say. He still had to complete his small world. He had to improve his god level, his god Dao. He had to understand his own strength a bit better. He might already be similar to Saint Emperors. Actually, as the old man had said, many people in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds received the invitation letter. But they were different from Lin Feng. They could contact one another and travel freely in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. Many people from everywhere started traveling in the direction of the dazzling gold shrine. Lin Feng also left for the mountain. It was the first time he had traveled so far in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. His clone usually stayed in the Fortune Shrine all the time, since the shrines wanted to kill him. Little boy, among the 7 forbidden territories, 3 of them are in the supreme animal world. There are many dangerous historical remains there. You've been in the Dragon Clan for such a long time. Do you know about the 3 forbidden territories of the supreme animal world? Lin Feng asked Dao Ma. The 3 forbidden territories of the supreme animal world are really dangerous. Ganji's Time, Supreme Ancient Pit of Hell, and the mythological animal mausoleum. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called forbidden territories. However, the most mysterious one is Ganji's Time. It's an infinite ocean of light. It was where the Time Shrine's holy place was back in the ancient times. Only a few people have managed to cross it. I've heard of a Saint Emperor who had no enemy at the same cultivation level, who surprisingly died outside of Ganji's Time. Ganji's Time, the Time Shrine. Lin Feng was stunned. The diviner had told him about those. The shrines had very long histories. He had read many books about the shrines too. The Time Shrine was one of the oldest shrines, like the Countless Shrine. The Countless Shrine had become the Buddha Shrine, and the Time Shrine had disappeared. So many people have died in the supreme ancient pit of hell. There are many things we can't imagine inside. Many people who have been there came out completely insane, said Alma. Regarding mythological animal mausoleum, even though it's a forbidden territory, the supreme animal world doesn't want people to go there because it's a sanctuary for beasts. Many ancient beasts are buried there. Many beasts revere it too much to go there. All right, Lin Feng nodded. The supreme animal world wanted to protect that sacred place. Who are the strongest clans in the supreme animal world? Asked Lin Feng. The Dragon Clan is one of the strongest clans. The Godly Phoenix Clan, the Unicorn Clan, and so on. Of course, there are some mysterious clans who are terrifyingly strong. In the future, we can go the supreme animal world together. And I'll show you, said Alma excitedly. Lin Feng grinned. In the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, there were some terrifyingly strong beasts, especially in the shrines, but the supreme animal world had the best ones. Chapter 23-21. Mushan Clan in the 10,000 Dusk Mountains. Dazzling golden lights were everywhere. The mountains seemed to be made of gold. This place was in the dazzling gold shrine's jurisdiction. And so had many cultivators who studied gold strength. Being close to the dazzling gold shrine, they had access to many resources. Even the buildings were made of gold. A strong cultivator in the 10,000 Dusk Mountains raised his head and looked at the sky. He was startled as he shouted out, "A dragon! Who's that?" "He's riding a powerful demon dragon." Many people were astonished. After all, dragons were considered incredible creatures in the world of cultivators. People were always impressed when they saw dragons. "I've heard that Mu Shanzi invited many strong saint emperors to come. I wonder what he wants to do." "I've heard that it was related to the Forbidden Territories. Those people are all insane. They don't have simplistic views like we do. We'll probably hear a lot about it." "Yes, we can only wait. Mu Shanzi has been discreet for many years. I've heard that he was at the very top of the Shengdi layer. I wonder whether it's true or not." In the 10,000 Dusk Mountains, there are only a few cultivators who have reached the very top of the Shengdi layer. Lin Feng heard what people were saying. He had incredible hearing, and his perceptions were acute. At such a cultivation level, people had incredible senses. It seems that Mu Shanzi is famous in the 10,000 Dusk Mountains, thought Lin Feng. He heard many people talking about those who had reached the very top of the Shengdi layer. Such people had the potential to become saints, and if they didn't die, it usually happened. Therefore, the number of cultivators of the very top of the Shengdi layer didn't increase with time in the world. Lin Feng had already gathered information about this place. He directly flew to the Mushan clan. Dragons were very famous for being strong, but they were also extremely fast. They were just slower than the most terrifying great oriental greenfinch rocks. "We're here," mused Lin Feng, gazing into the distance. There was a celestial lake, its waters calm, some leaves floating on the surface. The place was very beautiful. In the middle of the lake were some lofty buildings, the residences of the Mushan clan. "It's all golden. The Mushan clan looks new, and floating above a lake is quite beautiful," murmured Lin Feng as they descended from the sky. "A dragon." At that moment, many people looked at Lin Feng flying towards the lake. A middle-aged man wearing blue robe released lightning when he saw the dragon, and sharp electrical lights appeared in his eyes. At the same time, on another side, there was a beautiful woman whose golden robe was fluttering in the wind. When she saw the dragon, her eyes started glowing too. She didn't look ordinary at all. The air hummed. The two people moved to intercept Lin Feng. After a short time, Alma arrived above the surface of the lake. Because he was flapping his wings, gigantic waves appeared on the surface of the water. Lin Feng smiled at the two people. "A demon dragon? A young man riding a demon dragon?" The middle-aged man in the blue robe was startled. In the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, there were even fewer dragon riders than cultivators of the top of the Shengdi layer. Who would dare steal dragons from the supreme animal world to ride them? If someone rode a dragon, it meant that the dragon had agreed to it. Recently, a young man riding a dragon had become a bit famous. "You're Daimon from the World Clan?" said the middle-aged man in the blue robe. The World Clan had come back to the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds and provoked the Fire Shrine. Daimon had defeated Huashang and Qianghaya. He was famous now. Many people paid attention to what happened to the shrines, including the Fire Shrine, so they knew about Daimon. So now Lin Feng had become a little bit famous. He was considered as a genius by ordinary people, but not by extremely strong cultivators, so he was just a little bit famous. He had just started standing out. Lin Feng was surprised that Mu Shanzi had invited him, but he had decided to accept the invitation. This was normal. Lin Feng nodded. The middle-aged man said, "You must be extraordinary for a demon dragon to let you ride him. But you can compete with Qianghaya from the Fire Shrine, that is rare. You escaped, of course, you might not be as strong as him, but that would be normal." The middle-aged man sounded composed. He didn't flatter Lin Feng, but he didn't denigrate him either. At such cultivation levels, people were also less extroverted and more reserved. They didn't admire or denigrate people. They just stated facts. Denigrating people was pointless. They cared about themselves first. Lin Feng didn't draw their attention because he was Lin Feng, but because he was riding a dragon. You must Lan Ge from the Thunder Shrine, said the woman, smiling at the middle-aged man. Celestial Sound Shrine, Hua Qianyu, said Lan Ge looking at the woman calmly. I've heard that you could release millions of sound waves. I'm happy to meet you. Brother Lan Ge, you're flattering me, my soundwave techniques aren't that great. I am unworthy of your praises, replied Hua Qianyu. Then, she looked at Alma and smiled. That little dragon is so cute and so young. He's already so strong. Alma's gigantic eyes twinkled and he roared, making the sky shake. Hua Qianyu released a dragon chant soundwave to counter it, then stepped backwards and smiled. Let's not perturb the tranquility of the lake. Let's head to the Mushan clan. The dragon chant was like a soundwave technique, and it wasn't weaker than Alma's dragon roar, murmured Lin Feng, glancing at her. The Celestial Sound Shrine was a shrine too. Lan Ge turned around and flew in the direction of the Mushan clan. Alma roared and flew above the lake after them. When they entered the Mushan clan, there were some people ready to welcome the guests. Someone showed Lin Feng and the others rooms for their stay. These guest rooms were magnificent. Lin Feng was early. Only a dozen people had arrived. But without exception, those people were from wealthy groups. Their fighting abilities were all extraordinary. The Mushan clan had prepared residences halfway up the mountains. They could see the lake from the top. It was an incredible place. Lin Feng laid down in the grass of the mountain and gazed into the distance. A few other people were there too. They all enjoyed the environment. Daimon, someone called out at that moment. Lin Feng's eyes glittered. He was still lying down on the grass and he smiled. He had been invited too. I wouldn't have thought we'd meet again so soon, said Qiong Haya when he saw Lin Feng. He also smiled, pleasantly surprised. I told you, said Lin Feng smiling. He turned his head and looked at Qiong Haya. They both looked enthusiastic. Daimon had used the fire shrine as a stepping stone to become famous, and now Mushanzi had invited them both there. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.